I can start a poll too.
Okay.
Or I'll wait a little bit. And then I'll make it like 15 minutes.
Okay, everybody. Since my mic was on anyways, I figured we would just get started. Mariners, how are you doing today? Hope you are well. It is another Something About Soccer watch party, and I am very, very excited for it because this is the first one where we've done it like on the opening game of the week. We usually hit it at
Yeah.
the end. We're going to hit it at the start today, but first, picks. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. This is actually you know, a lot of the times we don't see Dill when we join in because his camera isn't off. But every time he surprised me with a really cool shirt. So that's what I'm excited to see. I'm really excited to see even a better soccer game coming up. Um, but yeah, I'm excited for the game.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. We're hitting all of our bases here. We have a hoodie, a button-up, and a Minnesota jersey that doesn't have a person's name on the back. Biz,
Yeah.
how are we doing today?
You know me all too well. I'm doing good. This week has been a little bit of a slog to get through, but excited now for a full MLS match day. Minnesota United is actually not playing for the first time on a Saturday. We're playing tomorrow, first game against NYCFC. So excited about that. But yeah, just excited to kind of, I think, be able to consume all of this window for the first time in a while, because usually we are playing most Saturdays. So kind of nice to be able to go continuously with no breaks. It'll be kind of fun.
And I know we were talking about it a little this morning, but before we hop into the MLS talk, a little Crystal Palace Brighton this morning. Your boy Munoz scoring today picks, and Biz, notoriously known for not watching Brighton games live, watches a full game live to get ready for the watch party, like a true sicko. How was that experience watching your first ever Premier League game?
Yeah, it's crazy the level of play increase. I would say this year I've probably realistically only seen him play like 3-4 times. Brighton, I feel like I know it's bounced around a lot lately, but I feel like at the start of the year they were like the 6:30 early game, probably like I don't know, for the first like 8 weeks, a good like 60-70% of the time. So I tried my best out of the gates to be dedicated, but it just wasn't happening. So no, it was cool to get to see him. Obviously, I've still, for a Prem team, it's kind of nice to have that team there that you can still kind of keep track of on like FootMob and stuff and check the scores and all that stuff. But all in all, it's a bummer that they didn't end up pulling anything. It was chaos in the second half too. I mean, what a fun 3 red cards in total between the two teams, and Brighton just pushing waves and waves forward, trying to equalize. So it was a fun game. I don't know, Pix, what did you think?
Yeah, I think it was an exciting game. I only watched a little bit of the cards back, but so many of those cards were just like, holy shit, what are you thinking? Like, I don't know, like Crystal Palace is Man City next match day, so I think a lot of them just didn't want to face Pep Guardiola. With like the just brain dead decision making that they had on both sides, even with Brighton also getting a player sent off with a last ditch tackle with Kamada trying to come in. But yeah, I mean, this is what we want. This is kind of what, like, a lot of people were saying the Merseyside derby was kind of boring, Newcastle versus Everton. I think that this is kind of what you need about these derbies, and kind of just having more flame on, the teams that don't really get as many eyes on them as the Liverpools or even the Evertons when compared to the the Crystal Palaces and the Brightons. So I think this is what you need to see. I think you need to see, flares start to come up, bad missed time tackles. And, because this derby has always been a little bit, I feel like it's always been a little bit like disrespected, even with the name, like the M40 derby, I think it's called. So
Is that what it's called?
yeah. So it's like people like, yeah. And then also like the bird derby is another one with the eagle and the seagull.
I like the
Yeah, I want to see more violence, and we saw a little bit over the weekend too with
Pixel demands it.
with the MLS with San Diego and LAFC too.
I saw a tweet
Off
that
the
was
pitch.
about yeah, exactly. It's like, I never condone this, but this is the type of passion that MLS needs. Just two guys fighting in the parking lot.
Yeah, just
This is
discrimination,
insanity.
hate speech, and people beating the shit out of each other.
One thing though I will say about Brighton is, they are the one Premier League team I think this season that made an MLS transfer in Diego Gomez. So I'm
Yeah,
not sure. Was he
and
out there, Biz, playing?
he was
Nice.
highlighted a couple times by
Okay.
the and actually kind of pointed out by the two. It's so funny too, the way they phrased it when I was watching too. This is just another Brighton transfer that will be somebody that no one knew about beforehand, that is going to go off to be bigger and better things. And I'm like, hey, disrespect to MLS, my dude. Like, what the hell?
Brighton are definitely the
Random MLS
most
trend.
football managery of the Premier League teams in terms of transfers. They're always signing these
Yeah.
like underrated players that no one really knows too much about. I know they just got a South Korean guy that's pretty young that's going to be
Mhm.
joining. There's always transfers, and they're spending more money than they usually do. in the past few seasons. But let me transition into our pre-show here because we do have a game to watch, and that game is Charlotte versus Nashville. And I wasn't particularly sure where they were in the standings until I was kind of setting it up this morning. But this is a really big game for both
Yeah, it's a good
teams.
game.
Fifth place Charlotte FC, sixth place Nashville FC, both coming off of a loss, but both teams have 3 wins in their last 5. Same exact form in the last 5 games, just a little bit of a different order. But Pix, I'll go to you. Any quick thoughts in regards to either of these teams going into this week? Have you been able to watch any of them? I know they are in the Eastern Conference, much like your beloved New York Red Bulls. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I was looking up a little bit, trying to unearth any facts, any fun tidbits I could find about either team and their form. But something really interesting about Charlotte is that they have not dropped points at all at home. So their home form has been really good,
Yep, good point.
to the point where they consistently have at least 2 goals on top of anyone that comes and visits them in their huge stadium. I think one of the biggest stadiums.
Yeah, it's an
in
NFL
MLS.
stadium.
Yeah.
Yep, Carolina Panthers play there.
So I think it's going to be really exciting to see how Nashville are able to crack them, especially with, as I said, they've always had at least 2 goal difference. Even I'm pretty sure they played against San Jose and they got 4-1. So even then they have been able to produce a lot of goals. So I'm really excited to see if Nashville is able to get a couple goals and if they're able to even make that threat, especially with their home form coming in. But the other good thing about Charlotte is that they've faced some Eastern giants in Cincinnati, where they beat them, and also Atlanta. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Charlotte can continue their home form. And I think that one of the things about the MLS that's unique but also true about a lot of leagues is just home form is super important.
Yeah.
But being on the road is so much harder in the MLS than a lot of other leagues where you're having to travel for potentially a day or two. Most of your day is taking up on travel. So I think that it's going to be tough. I mean, obviously Nashville isn't that far away from Charlotte, so that's not something that they have to worry too much about. But one of the things I really did want to emphasize is that Charlotte's home form. And I'm not sure if Nashville will be able to crack it out. So I'm thinking Charlotte's going to take it.
Yeah, I definitely think I'll go a little bit. I think it's going to be a very positive game. Both these teams capable of scoring goals and can be a fair bit leaky at certain times. Charlotte probably the better of the two defensively. Only allowing, it looks like, one, or no, never mind. They've been defensively. Both teams kind of up and down. I was reading a quote before this game that Tim Ream feels Charlotte definitely to figure it out defensively, step up, stay locked in a bit more as their veteran leader. And then obviously you have Walker Zimmerman on the other side. So two kind of, U.S. men's national team center back heritage there. I finally get to see my boy Brugman in a full game. I miss him a ton at the Galaxy. But Biz, how are you feeling about this game? I know, so picks, you went with Nashville. I actually don't remember what team I picked now.
I went with Charlotte.
We both went Charlotte. You went Nashville, Dill. I just looked.
Oh, I went Nashville. Okay. So picks, you're going against yourself after further.
No, I said Charlotte.
Oh, okay,
Charlotte.
Gotcha.
Oh my! Are
Dill's
you
just trying to drag him down.
I'm just trying to make you feel crazy.
He's trying to make the switch. He's already knows he's hooked.
But Biz, what are you thinking about the game?
Yeah, I mean, this one out of the games, especially just kind of looking through the Eastern Conference teams here. I mean, this is by far the most competitive game between where people are in the standings right now. So I think that's something that's really exciting. And when we pivoted to this game, just with some scheduling conflicts, it does make sense that this would be kind of the game that you gravitate towards. Is just standard operating procedure for what game I would choose to watch today. So Charlotte and Nashville are both. They're kind of different. They're different teams when it comes down to it on how they play stylistically. A little bit of an overview. I know Mariners and Chad had already mentioned about Dean Smith. So Dean Smith did just get a contract extension with Charlotte as well. So things have been going well. I think that it's probably the first form of stability within the managerial position at Charlotte. There's been, I mean, honestly, it's kind of been a disaster for a lot of management at Charlotte since the inauguration of the team in MLS. So Dean Smith, of all people, is the person that's provided stability in the spot. I know a lot of Europeans that would be watching that are like that. Those two sentences don't seem to go hand in hand, but it is the truth. He's been able to give Charlotte an identity and a style, I think, for the first time really in their tenure. And they've also been kind of I think like a dark horse pick for a lot of people to compete and be in the top four in the East with how competitive it is this year with the inclusion of Wilfred Zaha. So I think that's the thing that Charlotte's really been looking for as well. They have NFL money with David Tepper as their owner.
Yeah, good point.
So I think that's something that they've always been, over the last couple transfer windows, they've been looking for, I think, that player that would say yes to them. They've kind of taken some home run swings, including Miguel Almiron right before Atlanta re-signed him. So they've been trying to swing the bat a little bit, and they're not leaving it on their shoulder and walking back to the dugout. They're like trying to hit home runs. And Zaha was kind of the first person that I feel like they found that fits, and is also something marketable that Charlotte fans can kind of grab onto and like say, this is our guy, and start to build an offensive identity around him, because that's something that they have been missing. So that would be the Charlotte bullet points that I would say. Nashville, on the other hand, more of I would say a little bit more defense first going forward, focusing on that solidity. Manager on the other side, people would recognize as BJ Callahan. He was the person that got some plaudits over when Berhalter was first dismissed.
Maybe we need him back now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, with the recent Potts results, maybe. But Callahan is the person that actually ended up taking on that Gold Cup and had some early success in the early portions of that tournament with what the style of play looked like. A lot of people kind of, I think, identified with that's what they want the U.S. starting to look like. Mm-hmm. So he's applied that to the Nashville style of play. It's kind of jostling around some players and trying to find positions that make sense in a style. For Nashville, biggest players that I would point out, if you're not familiar with Nashville SC, would be Hani Mukhtar. Has been an MLS MVP in the past. I feel like he has kind of started to hit a little bit of a downswing in his kind of starting to get into his more like 30s age, where it's starting to, maybe the performances are dipping a touch to that level, but I still think he's a really quality player. And then you also have two Norwegian players that were just signed over the last portion of the season in the last transfer window that have both really contributed in Quasim and Tagseth. And Tagseth has actually been Edvard Tagseth. He's a 24-year-old Norwegian that came from Rosenborg, has been their best player on FootMob rated. So a little bit more of a defensive presence, ball winner, player that's, going to do a lot of the dirty work, and I think helps start a lot of those counterattacks for Nashville. So that would be kind of the biz overview for the day of what to look for with both those if you're really coming in cold and don't know much about both teams. Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall, I think this game's going to be, it will be competitive. This will be a good game.
Yeah, I was taking a look at the starting lineups as well. A couple of things to note in terms of injuries, who's on the bench, who's in there. A solid player for Charlotte FC. I think he's a young DP, one of their U21 initiative players. Nikola Pekovic has a thigh injury. He's not coming back until late April. A very, very good midfielder for them. We're actually familiar with him from our CPL save biz. I'm pretty sure Badger picked him up. Leo Labada also on the bench today. No injury, just probably going to come off. Same as Jacob Schaffelberg for Nashville. Maritime Messi, as we like to call him, on the bench as well. And then in terms of top scorers, they have Beal and Bauer from Charlotte and Nashville, respectively, with 2 goals each. So no one really on either team jumping off to a hot start in terms of goal scoring. Zaha, I feel like from my watching of him, limited, is been a little hot and cold, acclimating slowly to the league, but definitely the type of player they need, a dynamic playmaker with secondary scoring opportunities. So I'm excited for the game. Augumang in there as well, a fan favorite of the crew here, who was the only goal scorer in the U.S. men's national team window that just passed, where they lost 2 games. So I'm excited. I don't know. Biz, you said you went Charlotte. Pix is going Charlotte. I'm going Nashville. I think the game will be relatively close. I think we could see a good amount of goals as well, maybe 3-4 goals. I would love to see Augumang score, despite me, rooting for Nashville here. But any players to highlight for you, Pix, that you're excited to watch today that maybe you haven't had a chance to see?
Yeah. Someone that I think is very underrated throughout the MLS and has kind of just like really found his level at Nashville is Alex Mule. He played a long time at the Red Bulls, and he's just, I think, just such a good MLS level. He's a winger midfielder. He could really do a lot, and I just think that he's really found his level here. Even to the point where, like, I would love him back on the Red Bulls because he does so much of the work that I think that pairing him with Forsberg would be really good because he does a lot of the work where Forsberg goes forward. Mule kind of fills in that space. So I don't know. I think it's really uh, he's not one of the star players on the field, but in the same way that a lot of people say like watching Busquets, you see a lot of what goes on in the midfield and stuff like that. I'd say a lot of the times when I watch Nashville, I look out for Mule because he is sort of, I wouldn't say dictating the play so much, but he is doing a lot where even getting someone off a mark or something like that. Um, so it's going to be interesting to watch him as a former Red Bulls player. And then someone else that I really like is also Kerwin Vargas on the bench for Charlotte. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I think that he's going to add a little bit more dynamic coming off the bench. Um, and yeah, those are the two players that I'll probably be looking out for the most.
Fun fact for Mule too. That's Timothy Chalamet's boy
Yeah.
from
Uh-huh.
Oh,
from way
that
back
guy.
when. That's the
Oh,
guy. Yep. So for
got
anybody
it,
that
got
saw
it.
that when that went viral with Chalamet wearing the Nashville kit, Alex Mule is his buddy from growing up way back when. So I always thought that was kind of funny.
From New York too.
That's super
Yep.
random.
Yep.
What about
I
you,
know
Biz?
it's
Any
by
play,
far the most random.
any player you're excited to watch, maybe for the first time or get a full 90 experience of?
Yeah, I've watched Charlotte a couple times this
Hmm.
year, but there is actually one player that I do have noted down that I think will be kind of interesting to see. I have not got to watch Doumbia, who's a new left back signing for them that was
Mm,
brought in specifically post Zaha, based on the fact that Charlotte did not really have a long term solution at left back, to my knowledge. They were actually to start the season using Ream there, which he had done, early on in his
yep.
career in the Prem and various other spots that he's landed in his time with like Fulham and stuff like that. But I think it's super interesting because Doumbia is definitely a little bit more, because I think Ream never really worked with Zaha, in my opinion. When I was watching, you would see Zaha just wants to, I think, kind of, work in the tight spaces, dribble past people, maybe cut inside a little bit more and try to open up play that way, and then have that person coming through to, make them a little bit more dangerous on overlaps, things like that. And Ream at his age, just, you could see that there was effort there to try, but
That
it
just
was
isn't
just
him
not.
anymore. No.
Yeah, it's just not his player profile anymore by any means. So, especially with, I mean, Charlotte playing on a little bit of a longer field as well. You're just asking a lot from the guy. So, bringing in a player like Doumbia that is known for his pace and like the crossing ability and maybe a little bit more attack minded on that side. I've seen them. I've seen him in pockets in the highlights just play like, here and there, but I have not gotten to watch him play a full 90. So that would be the one that I will identify. I think that makes Zaha that much more dangerous. And I think it just opens up the play for Charlotte much more with Ream just going back into the middle. I think it makes a strength and even more of a strength too with Charlotte, where you have Tim Ream and Adelson Malanda as, I mean, that's for a center back pairing, pound for pound in the MLS. There's not too many MLS center back pairings that people are going to take over that. That's a pretty quality one when it comes down to it, with the veteran skill set of Ream, and then Malanda with his upside that has already been linked back to Europe. So yeah, I would definitely point out Doumbia. I think opens things up for them
Yeah,
collectively.
no, that's a really interesting one. I remember, we talked earlier about Reem playing that left back spot, and you were saying, oh, I think they finally got their target. So it'll be nice to see how this kind of varies to how they were playing at the start. One guy I'm
Yeah.
excited for, and kind of the reason Schaffelberg hasn't been starting this season, is the new young signing for Nashville in Ahmed Kassem, the Swedish 21-year-old who has scored 2 goals in his last three and came from Elfsborg, where he's played most of his career. He was at Matala before that, but a really interesting young Swedish player here playing in the MLS. I think I remember this signing, during the off season when they brought this guy in, and I looked him up a little bit, and that's a really good signing for Nashville. Obviously their strength before has kind of been their attack, with Harry Mukhtar being such a key piece for them. So to get another player, and now they have this really good rotation of Mukhtar, Schaffelberg, and Kassem at the wing spot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited to see that. Maybe they can get Surge a little bit more involved, but it seems like they're getting some more goals from the wing positions this season. But yeah, I'm excited. I love these. We've talked about it a ton. We love these like young Europeans coming here from like the middling
Yeah.
leagues, and then maybe
Yep.
using this as a stepping stone. But you never know. Some of these guys oftentimes turn into these long-term MLS players because they settle in so nicely, and at the end of the day, the MLS does pay pretty well. So those are kind of the highlights for me. I guess. Do you guys? We have a few minutes before the next game start. Any predictions or thoughts in terms of your guys' teams playing this week? I know Galaxy play Real Salt Lake after this game. It's actually the game right after this one. And Real Salt Lake are in the mud, a bit muddier than the Galaxy, which is pretty muddy as well. But I'm really, really hoping we can get by them. Biz Minnesota beat them last week from the Tani Oluwase brace.
And one
So
of the worst freaking games I've ever attended weather-wise.
yeah, I was worried. I thought I at first when you said that I was happy because I didn't know you meant the weather. I was like, oh, Minnesota played so terribly and beat them 2-0. So I
No,
was like, oh, okay,
we played
well, the
really well,
Galaxy
actually, all
okay,
things
so
considered.
that's not good for us. We need to play well as well. But we have Paintsill back. We played in CONCACAF Champions Cup
Yep.
this past week, tied 0-0 against Tigres.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm optimistic. Tottenham and Galaxy not really making me feel good about being a fan, but when I wake up tomorrow at 6 a.m. to watch Tottenham play Southampton, I really hope my heart doesn't break even more. Picks. What about you? Red Bulls. Who do they got? It looks like they got Chicago. Ooh, I don't know, man. Oh, you're muted.
I don't know, man.
Chris Brady's nice, bro. And Gutierrez, they're playing good.
No, I agree. I think Chicago is going to be a really good test for us. I think that we really need to turn things around from how we performed against New England, even if it was on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to get 3 points here. I don't think that's exactly the expectation, but I think for the good of the season and just to continue pressing forward, I think that we do need to get 3 goals. And we have to get 3 points, and we need to start scoring a few more goals, especially from a lot of our, because I feel like a lot of our players are super creative, but none of them can finish, and that's been a problem over the last couple of games, and we've seen even in the result yesterday. So it's going to be really interesting to see if we're actually able to produce anything. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that does feel kind of bad when you have a player that's so dynamic like Forsberg, and then you're kind of asking him to do so much, and then that's probably why they go get like a Motang type player. But then I don't know, he seems a step behind than kind of what you're looking for in a leading nine, even in the MLS. I feel like
Exactly,
he's
because
such a
I feel like
poacher, and it's just
he drops deep a lot of the
yeah.
times too, where it's just like he doesn't have the touch of pace, and he never really did,
Hmm.
to be able to beat the guy so that he's racing to the ball once Forsberg plays him in. So that never happens because they're right next to each other,
Hmm.
basically occupying very similar spaces. So it's like, I don't know, like that's why I would love a Timo Werner for the team, because Timo Werner,
Oh,
maybe even if he doesn't get the ball on target, at least he'll actually make the run, and potentially
wow.
drag someone away.
Your standard is really low right now. Come on, Pitts.
Well, I don't know.
I'm
Chopo
just
still
kidding.
hasn't scored like a regular goal.
No,
So
he
it's
has
just,
he has one rebound goal,
oh
one
yeah, but
poacher's goal. Basically a
I just
penalty.
I
How
want
easy
to
it was.
see more. I want to see more, even just attacking prowess. I want to see more threats.
Biz, how you feel? Who Minnesota got this week? I forget.
Yeah, we have NYCFC tomorrow,
Oh.
who have not been playing. I shouldn't say not playing well. They're kind of just like, the East is so competitive, so it's just kind of like they've just been middling.
Mm,
But on the road, like you said, when you're anytime you're traveling to the coast from the Midwest, it's a task. You're hoping for at least a point if you can get it. And
sure.
no, I've been really happy with what we've looked like. Obviously, we've had a couple points dropped on some tough games. But if you actually look at the advanced analytics and where we're at, I just actually saw a chart shared about XG, and we are by far and away the team that is performing the best on XG in both categories, with sound defense, good attack. I think the only team that was even sniffing in the same range was Vancouver, which is really
Yeah.
cool to see
Good company to keep.
for us. Absolutely. So, I'm excited. I'm excited about the prospect of, kind of racking up a couple wins in a row here and what it could mean for us. We're sitting 2 points out of first place in the West right now. So yeah, we're in a point right now with some of the midfield depth starting to fall by the wayside here a little bit, though. Dotson's out for an extended period with a meniscus tear. And then we have, we just lost Owen Jean this past game for at least 2 to 4 weeks, and that's 2 players that play pretty much the exact same position. So that's going to be a problem. We're probably gonna have Carlos Harvey play some patchwork defensive midfield, who honestly we've been blown away with him taking over one of the 3 center back spots since he's come in and kind of developed that as a new skill position for him. So
Sorry, I was laughing as you're talking because I'm trying to sync up the game time because I'm waiting for it to start, and it just
Yeah,
panned to a guy wearing a soccer ball as a hat,
I
wearing
saw it.
like
I
pit
have it
viper
pulled up too.
glasses, and I almost lost it.
I should also mention we would be remiss not to mention the Charlotte FC mascot in Sir Minty. If you have
Oh
not
yeah.
seen a picture of Sir Minty, you probably need to.
What
That's something that is
what was he?
uh,
Is it a ball? Is he a ball?
it is a
That
giant
okay,
ball
that's
with
what
a
I thought.
crown. It is. I'll see if I can post it on guy. I'll try
A
to get it on
royal
guy.
ball.
Yeah, it's a
One of the
royal
kids
ball.
looked scared standing next to him. I did notice that while
I'm
the game was
scared of
starting.
him pretty frequently, to be honest, but he's also kind of awesome.
But as we're kind of I forgot about this Nashville guy that you said Norwegian players they were going after, right, Biz? When you were talking
That's
about
been
yeah,
this
Tagsworth. I forgot about him.
Qasim and Tags
Tagsith. Tagsith.
Tagsith and Qasim are the two that I
Nice.
would say are the most recent purchase. Qasim's actually their leading scorer right now with
Yeah.
only two. It's
Yeah.
been kind of spread out amongst all of Nashville. I think that's something that
hmm
team style and just with kind of how they press and how they're selective with it. I had actually shared something with you guys too that I thought was a really cool MLS breakdown, was something unique that Callahan's been doing about they play a kind of like at least they've started to play a narrow diamond midfield a lot of times. What they'll do is they'll have the player on the far right hand side if the ball's on the left, come all the way over and help with the press and like really kind of try to block off that side of the field. And it's the same on the other side where they're really just kind of trying to suffocate one side of the field by having players kind of allocated to certain areas. So I thought that was a really interesting breakdown on somebody that I saw share that on Twitter. And that's something to watch for with Nashville on how, kind of just what makes them unique and how they play the game. So I'll be curious to see what that looks like. Surge too, they're showing right now. I feel like has had a little bit of a slow start. He's on a goal with almost 3 xG.
I know. I
so
just
that's
saw
something
that too. I was thinking that. Yeah.
Yep. So something to pay attention to as well. I think he's been a pretty solid MLS forward since he's been here, because you just don't see the target forward profiled as much, nowadays in the MLS. So it's always kind of fun to see some floating around. But
These fans scaring me right now with their fit. Oh, I like the brick wall goalie glove that he gave the kids. That's a good one. The little foam finger hand. I did have a few things I wanted to talk about as the game's starting. Some rumors in regards to incomings and outgoings. One that I thought was really interesting that already has some history in terms of the MLS. Obed Vargas, a midfielder slash wing for Seattle Sounders, who a traitor to the U.S. I mean, it's our fault we didn't cap him. Going to play for Mexico, the kid from Alaska is rumored to be linked to Middlesbrough and also the Eredivisie. Middlesbrough, known for the MLS because that's where Aiden Morris went and had a really, really good season. Past 2 seasons. Aiden Morris has been great for that team, to be honest. I think kind of a forgotten guy in terms of... I'm curious why we haven't... I kind of, now thinking about it, I feel like we haven't talked about him in terms of U.S. men's national team stuff in this past few windows, and I'm surprised by that. Especially, I mean, we are deep in midfield, so I get it to an extent, but he was good with the well, he can't do January camps anymore just because of he's in the championship, but I do like him a lot. And then it's official now that Kevin De Bruyne is leaving Man City at the end of the year, but San Diego is not the only team possibly going after him. I am curious what the options are for him if he does end up coming to the MLS. Biz, you probably know a little bit more about this. Do you think KDB's next logical step is the MLS, or do you think he goes somewhere else?
Yeah, I was reading up about it a little bit, and it sounds like the two options for players at that step of their career lately has been either go get the bag in Saudi or go to MLS. And it's just kind of, the dichotomy of that for a lot of these moves for a lot of these superstar players has been kind of choosing what makes sense to you and what do you value based on, what is your motives on the move. So if you want to go get paid, a 3x salary, and then you're sacrificing maybe just, the quality of life for your family and something you want to go do for a couple of years, that good on you, you'll make the bag and probably be set for the rest of your life, or come to MLS and still get paid a pretty solid salary, pending for most of these guys they'll still get paid a ton, and then end up in maybe a little bit more of a livable spot that's maybe a little more of a vacation destination for a lot of these on the coast. So I've heard San Diego they actually mentioned that they are out on him, that he's no longer part of the plans.
Okay.
So it's going to end up being probably, I've seen some other teams listed. Miami doesn't have the ability to do it, so it's probably going to be someone along the lines of like LAFC. now that Griezmann's kind of getting cold feet, it sounds like, with that move, and
Really?
that this Under signing that they ended up doing a loan that's going to end up in the summer being opened back up as a DP spot again, and that was the plan all along. So I could see LAFC potentially doing it. There was one other team too, and I forget who off the top of my head who it was, and it sounded like there was a mystery team also linked as well. So I don't know. I saw. I've seen Cincinnati pretty much linked with just about every single person across the board too, with being that they have a spot and are competitive right now. But I think the Club World Cup stuff too, I think, is also kind of an alluring thing. If LAFC does end up making that playing game that they're saying might take place, I think that's a really interesting spot for KDB to take a look at. I think LA is where a lot of these guys want to end up. It's that or Miami. It's, the spot on the coast in the nice weather, getting a solid salary. I think that's where it's alluring to a lot of these players. So that would be where my money is right now, kind of as the front runner.
I wonder if there's any sneaky links that we may not know of where KDB might lean towards in regards to making a decision. I know if San Diego's out, I feel like everyone probably says an LAFC seems like to be the biggest, the obvious choice for a guy like that. But I am really curious. What do you think would be the biggest culture shock for him if he played somewhere?
Cincinnati would be hilarious, honestly.
Get some Skyline chili in him.
Some Skyline chili, absolutely. Yeah. No, I saw Mueller was also linked with a couple different spots as well. Cincinnati was also on that list.
Because he's not retiring. Yeah. He's just leaving Bayern. Because with that statement, it's hard to say, right?
Yeah. Because some people are also saying that within the discussions that they've had of Bayern is Bayern would really love him to become a coach, but he wants to keep playing. So it's it depends on if he continues as a coach or if, because there's a lot of players I'm pretty sure in the staff right now that he even played with, because he's been in the academy for 25 years. It's people that 5 years in that he was playing with, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but
we're getting ready to start too, Dill, just FYI. Mueller was ambassadorial duties was kind of the thing that I had heard too, because LAFC has an affiliate link to it, a loose affiliate link with Bayern. I think it's some first dibs on some scouting stuff and players out of the academy, things like that. Because I think early days when they first were established, I think that there was kind of a team up on Bayern kind of helping with facilities, things like that. So just kind of putting their footprints down when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah, Mueller there would be interesting. And I feel like it really does fit the archetype of what LAFC has been attracted to from a designated player signing over the last, we've talked about this before, but I don't know what it is about the marketability of some of these long-term, classic players that have maybe dribbled past their prime a little bit on what we're actually talking about for where their career arc is, and signing a player like a Latte Loth or a Denki that we've mentioned, where it's kind of a changing of the guard of what MLS looks like, and then still, signing a Giroud and a Mueller, where it's, those guys are great all-time players and are marketable and are players that can come in and, help in the locker room and do all these things. But it's can those guys push you over to that next level in comparison to where some of these other signings are starting to come into the league? So that's kind of what my thoughts are on it. I actually think Thomas Mueller still could do it in the league. It's always kind of a 50-50 coin flip. Giroud just I don't think Giroud necessarily can't do it anymore, but I think for what MLS is, I think he was always kind of a goofy signing for a player that's known as a target man that's lost a step and, also doesn't fit into the style of play of what MLS typically is. So, or even what LAFC is trying to do from a style of play standpoint. So I always thought that was a weird signing. So you're always going to have that of do these players that have lost a step with pace, acceleration, can they just jump in and kind of hit the ground running in a league that is really not conducive to players that don't have that ability anymore. So
yeah, no, that makes sense. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. The game has kicked off a minute in at home for Charlotte. Nashville having to play out the back after a quick start, and Charlotte have a good throw in. One player I don't know too much about on Charlotte, who is tied for the top goal scorer, obviously with just 2 goals. Beal. Do you know much about him, Biz?
Yeah, Pep Biel is a player that they brought in on loan last year and had to be, if I remember correctly, had to be a designated player. And then once that ended up, it kind of was like nondescript. Not much happened last year, but then ended up bringing him in, and now they no longer had to put him on a designated player contract. So now it's a little bit more favorable.
I think he's
Spanish, and he was playing at Olympiacos in Greece. Was where they got him from. So is. He's hit the ground running. I think it's also a more palatable, much more palatable contract having him on like a TAM deal, because I think it opens up your ability to sign some of these other players, and
for sure.
It rotationally too, like you said, with Abada on the bench today, having the ability to kind of rotate players and be comfortable with like who is now starting with Zaha coming into the fold too. It gives you that extra like one or two pieces off the bench on late substitutions.
It's so nice having like at least one sub for each position group that you actually feel like you're not
trust
losing
value
with,
right?
It just, it's terrible when you just, respect to the younger players, but when you just have all these youngsters who may give you something, but it's just, you wouldn't really slide him in the starting lineup unless it was dire.
Definitely. That's why I think that there's such a big importance on like the players like Mule and stuff like that, which are players that like, this is more of a starter in that sense, but players who definitely have the capability of fighting for the starting spot. I'll be right back. I just have to go grab a charger. One second.
Good. Positive start from both teams.
Yeah, Nashville is really interesting too, with like some of the players that they have at their disposal as well. A couple of these, we've featured a couple of the new European pieces, but also some players that have also just kind of been labeled as MLS journeymen that like even are like in some new spots. Like Andy Nahar is a really good example, a Honduran player that's been around the block in MLS plenty of times. He started and kind of got his recognition with DC United, ended up moving on to Anderlecht at one point and did a little stint in Europe. But he was kind of tabbed with a hot start in his early portion of his career as being kind of like maybe a Honduran player that would elevate that national team a bit. And I feel like he had an okay stint in Europe, but just it never really, like that next step never really happened, which is a little bit of a bummer. But he's kind of like rebranded himself because he was known more as an attacking player, and now he's moved into with, I think, like stylistically how the game has evolved in it, like today with having more five in the back and stuff. He's more branded himself as like a true fullback, or actually like even more of like an attacking wing back. So that's more how Nashville is using him, and that was never how, like in MLS at least, how we ever really saw him featured. So yeah. I think that's kind of interesting too.
No, that is interesting. Oh, I wanted to tell you, Biz, too. I had a chance to watch those vlogs of that Houston defender. It was pretty cool. That center back, that young guy.
Yeah.
Did you watch those?
I clicked it on for the first like couple minutes and didn't end up following through with it, but I definitely noticed like the style of what he was doing, which I think is really cool. Yeah. I will go back to him. I forget what his name was, but it's one of the youth players that has started to get some run for the Dynamo.
Yeah, he was really drafted out of college. I think he went to Penn State or something like that. Oh, that shot counted. I thought they stopped the play right there. But, it's interesting. And it was funny, too, at the end of his video. So, for context, it's a Houston Dynamo defender who's, I think, in his second year now playing, because I think he was playing B team mostly last season. But I think he was a YouTuber even going before that, and he said at the end of his like video with this one, now that he's with the full team, he can only make like X amount of videos, so he has to be like selective.
Really?
So I think that has to do with like his contract or whatever. But it was interesting. He was giving insight into his individual play, kind of letting people know how his preseason went, because he wasn't expecting to be a starter. He thought he for sure was going to be a backup, in his first season where he signed a full-time pro contract, but he was able to slide in. He's been really good. He was a two-time defender of the year, like in the league or in the conference he was in college, and he's a really big-bodied center back. So it'll be exciting to see.
It's where you start to have players like that too, like Bombito. I know that ended up for Canada with the Rapids, kind of had a similar story where it's we talk about the MLS draft and in terms of like FM and stuff like that, how it's not weighted correctly, and it's kind of hard to identify to what the collegiate level means to like United States soccer development, because there definitely still is a place for it. It's unique because a lot of times what you're getting out of it is the late bloomers and the players that maybe even found the game late, or just for whatever reason it hasn't clicked into their head fully. So it's almost something that I feel like exists here in the States that is actually something that's not exactly priority, or something that exists over like elsewhere, where I think a lot of talent can still be cultivated out of that level, which I think is kind of It's funny too, because you do see a lot of players, like at least one per, I feel like, national team cycle in the World Cup, where you're going to see a collegiate player that kind of had this like late boom and just kind of like started to hit and stick in MLS and gets called up. Like we're seeing it too. Like Ajaman's the perfect example of a player that found the game late in his late teens and now is a starting striker in an MLS squad, and actually, found the January camp, actually got minutes in the Nations League semis. So it's like you have players like that constantly do develop. I know Duncan McGuire isn't so much in the U.S. men's national team hierarchy, but that's another player that was like kind of last cycle was a player that was being rumored to maybe get a run out with how good he was playing for Orlando at the time. So it's like you have players that exist that are kind of like that are found later than what would typically be done if you just get dismissed maybe as like in your early teens in a youth academy. And how the style of it is handled in Europe, where it's a little bit different, where we have that extra little piece for players to rebound if they don't find their way really early and don't hit that stride developing early too. I think it's something definitely different and unique to the U.S. landscape.
No, for sure. And I also feel like some of the guys who kind of tend to be more of the standout players are like the ones you said at the start, these more physical, big body players who kind of got to soccer late. I think about that with Augimeng, and then also that Houston Dynamo defender, just like guys who may have chosen different sports growing up and then, played soccer as well, or then transitioned into that full time. But yeah, it's definitely a very unique situation that we have here. But there's also there's a lot of different players that play that. And obviously when you kind of go the college route too, it's because you may or may not have come through some of the more, pay to play academies when you're younger, but they're getting scholarships to play and go to school for free and play in these colleges. And it doesn't necessarily even have to be a big college to get drafted in a top spot. I remember that like two years ago in the draft, there were some players getting picked from some very small schools, in regards to the college sports landscape across all other sports, but their soccer team may be very, very good. So
the other big thing is that like universities exist everywhere. The development of soccer isn't present in every state at all, but also just in the same way. So just like having a university that does have a soccer team gives just another opportunity for people to actually develop. And I think it's just the more potential pathways that there are, especially through scholarships and stuff like that, where you are getting public funding also given to these players, I think it's better. And we were having some discussions when I was streaming yesterday with Mariners about a little bit about the development of the league and stuff like that, and some of the challenges. And I think that college isn't something I've ever really thought about when it comes to like the development and how it is and exists within the college or the United States soccer space. But I think it's like one of the most unique things.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's not present everywhere by any means. So I think that's, the universities exist, but I think like the priority of like still trying to play the game and maybe like have this kind of like weird like pathway that maybe isn't necessarily like emphasized as being quality or even like important, but it still exists, is definitely not pertinent and like doesn't make a ton of sense to develop and even I think like prioritize in other places, because they don't really need to, because their current methods and the ways that exist like are accessible and already available to them. You know what I mean? So
Right,
it's
right.
Having the way that we set up and having that is like kind of this extra way to uncover talent, or it's almost kind of like a second chance for a lot of players, especially with like the pay to play angle of it that we've discussed too with how youth academies right now are set up. It really is a way, because there is still scholarships that exist for players that are really quality, that can find their way in that landscape still, where they can go get an education and also show off and try to get scouted by a team and show that they have quality if they didn't have the means to figure out how to get into an academy at a younger age, or it just wasn't a priority for them, or whatever the reason might be. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of places that don't even have MLS teams or USL teams. So I think that the college route makes it so that there's a wider web of development overall.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was going to kind of change the subject here. What do you guys think? We got to get a kit check here on both these teams. What do we think of the Charlotte and the Nashville kits for the day? I definitely am team. I've liked the Charlotte kits the last couple of years. I think Charlotte's doing it the right way. I think I liked their jerseys last year a little bit more, but I still think these are a quality entry into the kits.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this the Charlotte kit with like the gradients and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I'm also a big fan of the Nashville too. I feel
Yeah,
like
you like the Nashville?
Nashville 2 years ago had one of the best kits as voted by your community with
Yeah, I
the
remember
black
that. Yeah.
Nashville kit.
Yep. That was
But
like an
I don't know.
alternate,
I
wasn't
feel
it?
like
I
it's
remember
hard
that.
to do yellow and blue in a really good way, and I think
Yeah,
that they're able to do it in a good way.
it's kind of a unique. It is kind of a unique color combo that I feel like you can botch that pretty easily because
I feel like with these
they're
two
two pretty
tones,
distinct and different colors that don't necessarily match great. So it's
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And it's very easy to do kind of just like be like Boca, because Boca I
mm,
think is one of the most iconic
Mm,
blue and yellows, where they're more
sure,
blue and then yellow. So I think
sure.
that Nashville kind of reversing those roles is a good idea.
That's a shame. That was a nice little breakout Nashville just had there, and Surge. I don't know. Kasim just kind of waited to pass that like an extra 2 seconds. He should have let it go. But I don't know. Early thoughts. What do we think here? 12 minutes in. Do we have any initial thoughts on the? I feel like it's been pretty 50-50 overall. Nashville.
Mhm.
I feel like out of the back, both teams have kind of had trouble trying to build here with some of the pressing that both teams have done.
Yeah, I feel like especially like I feel like Nashville's being instructed to just chop Zaha down and like
Yeah.
not do anything. Uh, like we saw a little bit earlier where he was trying to do like a little spin move or something, just grabbing onto the shirt. So I think it's going to be a little bit tough to get the opening goal, but once we get the opening goal, I think that we'll start to see a bit more.
Yeah.
I do like I wanted to say I do like the Nashville kits, but the yellow has always been seemed to be the same throughout the years.
Yeah.
And it very much reminds me. I mean, I was gonna say a college, but it's because it's just so Michigan colors for here.
Yeah.
But it is a really good combo. I do like Charlotte's kits more though. I love that.
Yeah, Charlotte's had
look.
some good entries. They've had some really good entries the last couple of years. I thought their one last year was like really quality.
Also, the atmosphere at the Charlotte Stadium's great, especially for how big it is too. Like,
Yeah,
they really pack it out.
they've been drawing pretty consistently. I was reading, it can hold. I think it can hold like 60 plus,
Mhm.
like on the right day, which they have done before. They've packed that stadium for like their MLS opener, and they always kind of like prioritize certain games where they try to market and sell more of it. But yeah, I feel like their supporter section is amongst some of the best. They have like, I remember when I did when we were doing kind of like MLS pick a team back in my when I was doing that as a thing on my own channel. I did a little bit of research into Charlotte, and Charlotte has like a pocket of in that supporter section. They have like 4 or 5 different supporters groups that are going on in there.
That's cool.
It's all dedicated to like, there's some Spanish speaking only. Like, I really like that when you have kind of like multiples that kind of meld together, and like I think it gives it more personality when you do allow more of that. So, yeah, I think you always see that behind the goal. It's always just absolutely packed out of the, they average, I think, about 20 to 25 per game, which is, I mean, it's not filling the stadium, obviously, because if you look at it, like as an overview, if you're looking up,
they got it nice and zoomed.
Yeah. But it's still, I mean, that still does add up, and it's loud, man, playing in front of that many people. So it's,
I mean,
on par with what you're seeing elsewhere.
The Panthers suck, so they need something.
Say that to David Tepper's face, man. But no, they have not been good. So yeah, you probably would, honestly.
But yeah, that's always the big worry about using NFL stadiums, is having it look, super dwarfed. But I think Charlotte's a team that does it really well. And especially with the nice weather. I was looking it up. It's like 84 degrees right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
it looks hot. You can see 14 minutes in, like the level of like how much players are sweating already. Yeah, definitely not like the couple of games I've watched up here, I can tell you that. But I was gonna mention too, you have Joe Willis, who is maybe battling with Brad Stuver for most uncomfortable look for a goalkeeper if you're walking around.
I was just thinking, like, all these MLS keepers look like they could be your neighbor's thing.
Yeah,
like doing tricks on the barbecue.
the wave over the fence when he's doing the barbecue. Like, come on over, I got a couple extra brats if you want some.
Benny's in here saying that we should ban teams that play in NFL stadiums.
I agree to an extent. I do think like some of them can actually kind of hold up, and if they have natural grass, which a lot of them don't, but if they have natural grass, then I'm on board. But yeah, this turf nonsense, if you got that out of there, then I wouldn't have the wholesale like take of, I think
which stadiums do you use grass?
Off the top of my head, a lot of them.
If you know. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know of any that use real grass still. but I don't really know that many stadiums, especially when it comes to NFL.
Mm.
Yeah, so ones that would right now, there's 14 teams in the NFL that do. Let me see if they coincide with any. Like Soldier Field would for Chicago. Kansas City at Arrowhead does. Sporting Kansas City's played there some, like when Messi went there, they've played there, but that's really about it. And then I think that's the only ones that would apply. Yeah, because Carolina, I know, doesn't. You can tell by the looks of it too. It's like the synthetic, like kind of half and half. And then Atlanta definitely doesn't, which is a big issue right now.
Big issue among their players too. It's just
Yeah.
Martinez, everything like that. Former player.
But yeah, welcome in, Benny. It's good to see you, man.
Put everything in New Jersey. Better for me to get to.
No, it is a shame that I think with where MLS is and where a lot of this money has kind of been sourced from, that some of these are tied to NFL stadiums, because I think MLS is doing a really good job now too with like the soccer specific stadium rule with like any new stadiums that's been kind of prioritized, and really I think it's really changed the league for the better. I mean, you can count it on one hand how many NFL stadiums are being utilized. Like Seattle's another one too. I didn't think off the top of my head that's still that is outside. I think that's the biggest thing too. Like Atlanta playing in a dome is kind of a buzzkill. But some of these teams too, though, like if you're talking about some of the Canadian teams, just with the weather that they're experiencing, it kind of is you kind of get your arm twisted that sometimes that is the way that it has to be too. So
and even stuff with like the lights going off. I was watching Vancouver versus it was Pumas, right?
Vancouver Pumas. Yeah, that happened a couple times.
The lights went off like 3 times.
That's dark arts right there. I respect that. Literally
didn't work for them in the long run. It didn't end up working. Orlando today, Benny. We like the odds. Yeah, I think you guys got that.
I don't know. Now that I think about it, I think Philly's fraudulent. Messi humbled them.
Messi's like the Grim Reaper meme.
Yeah.
You're next. I feel like both teams are getting close, but nothing has really materialized into anything. Other than that long shot goal from the start of the game that I thought a foul got called on, and then the
that Kalina saved.
But it counted it.
Yeah, there hasn't been really any. I was going to even look on FootMob quick to see if there has been even any labeled chances. I was going to mention too that the CPL officially started today too. Halifax and Ottawa just started up around the same time.
Oh yeah.
So that is, I just looked. That's half, and Halifax is up 1-0.
Oh, this random kind of related, but I was looking at some USL because I follow Orange County on my socials, and Bryce Jamison, probably their hottest young prospect, got transferred to Colorado Rapids, the first ever.
That's huge.
To the MLS transfer move for Orange County. So, and that was the guy that was training with, I think, Fire Nord like 2 summers ago. So, yeah, that's exciting.
That's a very cool angle. Yeah, looking at FootMob, there's legitimately like 0.09 XG combined in this game. So it's pretty much been, Nashville had the single shot, but that's really all we've seen.
Mukhtar. Okay, there you go. That's a real chance.
Yep. I think you're a little in front of me too, Dill. I got all sync up with you. That was a nice chance. What are you actually on time-wise, Dill? Let me make sure I have you.
Let me see after this replay. 2028.
Okay. I'm at 2033, so I might be like a second ahead of you here. All right, I think we're good now.
Cool.
I was trying to link up with the on-screen one. So, Pix, are you around that same time too?
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind, but it's within the same.
Pix is at 22. He's just not saying anything again.
So what are you guys talking about?
That's why I was very, very silent. Talking about that.
The game's actually 1-1. It's weird seeing Zimmerman and Ream opposite ends of the field. I've always felt like they're just like different versions of each other.
Yeah.
The Chia Pet, like, more water on Tim Ream.
Spider-Man point meme.
Exactly. When they played together as a center back combo, I was like, this is just too funny. Sad. I kind of miss Zimmerman now. I really don't, but like, it's just, when you're so used to certain players on the national team for so long, and then they're just like, oh, you're done. Like, you're probably never coming back unless there's like a terrible injuries crisis. But it's kind of sad. It's probably got to feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Just make it human.
You hit a certain point, I think, at a center back spot too, and I don't think Zimmerman's career necessarily for the U.S. men's national team is completely like chalked. I think I do think that there's a reality in a world where he could potentially make a roster again, but we just that is a position that we are starting to like actually have some talent developed in like their early 20s that really should be taking the reins, and it shouldn't be a question anymore. And that's, I think, kind of the issue right now is the fact that there's been some injuries and something. Oh my goodness!
You really loaded that up. Power Shot Plus.
Yep. Both bumpers hit on that shot.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's the thing I'll say with Zimmerman, though, is the fact that we haven't really had a player like make the position their own. And it's like whenever that happens, it's like there's the ambiguity of that spot right now. It's like, I mean, they're still using Ream. Like, it's that just goes to show how in flux that position is.
It should not be a question mark. Like, Chris Richards should be taking that spot. Like,
he
should never be questioned, but he's so like inconsistent.
Yeah, and hurt. He's been getting injured too.
We also just need to let Mark McKenzie play more.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah, I think that what's needed is you need a guy with Tim Ream's mentality outside of Tim Ream's body. Just you got to put that in Chris Richards or something like that.
Yeah.
Because the mentality isn't there for a lot of the people getting call-ups.
I just don't love the Celtics center backs either as starters.
Yeah,
they're just so shaky. Trust you.
I think exactly what you've said about like the issue about having the people who you're the best in the league, so you're not really being tested as much.
Yeah, they're in possession like 70% of the time. They don't have to do shit. Like,
so yeah, I definitely agree with that.
It's hard to trust too. Carter Vickers is a little bit of a smaller statured guy too, right? So it's like
he's like
that doesn't profile a ton too when especially with some of the teams that you're playing with. Like it can be okay, like maybe in qualifying in CONCACAF because you're dealing with some Central American players that might be on a little bit of a shorter side. But like when we're actually getting into like the nitty gritty of like if you're trying to get into World Cup games and deal with that, it's like you're gonna be losing 3-4 inches on players a lot of these times of height difference.
He's so indecisive too, which I don't like for being like that small. Also, that Charlotte guy is so tall. Who is that? 28? That guy's huge.
Was that it might be Molanda. I'll have to look. I think it is Molanda.
He's as tall as the Augumang out there. You got some giants. Oh, in the midfield. Dude, that guy's crazy tall. I don't know if Mook
is this might be Diani.
Yeah, Diani.
Yeah, it's Diani.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Diani was I think he's I think he's second division France is where they.
Is that the guy they had listed as? I don't know on FOTMOB.
Yeah, he's listed on FOTMOB as a right wing, which is just
wrong.
It's wrong. Yeah, he's a D mid for sure.
Yeah, dude, he's tall. Wow, that's tripping.
Yeah, he's
a
monster.
He looks so out of place. There you go.
I've been impressed with the two players that have kind of stuck out to me so far, and this has been Tagseth has looked good on the ball. I really like kind of like your classic, like just kind of rotating possession, like good with, I feel like good with his feet. He hasn't given the ball away much. Like, I feel like I really like that because I have not watched Nashville at all. So that's why I was kind of excited to do this game. So that's the first thing that's really stood out to me with them. On the Charlotte side, I've been really like paying attention to Doumbia and like how he combines with kind of like what I highlighted in the pre-show. And it hasn't been anything that's like really kind of blown me away with his speed. Like if it were me, like if I'm Dean Smith, I'm telling that dude to like bomb forward all the time, like just nonstop, because it makes Zaha, and it almost makes me think too with what's being prioritized by Nashville, trying to take Zaha away, like you said, with like chopping him down all the time and stuff too, trying to like freeze out the flow of play, all that stuff. Ooh, second ball, 1 second ball,
no shot. That was
you can't call it. You can't call that. aside from watching this awful game, how y'all doing? Yeah, I can't speak for Dylan picks, but I'm doing great, Benny. I appreciate you.
You could
Yeah,
guess.
I'll say I think they're doing fine. I don't know.
Wrong. Terrible. Just kidding.
It all depends on the results later on this tonight.
Yeah,
Holy.
ask Dill in a few hours.
My sports
RSL
fandom
always
is not making me feel good at all. Angels lost last night. I've been keeping track of them again. Maybe I'm just addicted to pain. I shouldn't be watching that as well.
Just masochist.
To be fair, yeah, you did choose Spurs, so it's like
that says a lot about my character.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm being real as a Minnesota fan, like the fact if I'm choosing a real EPL team, the Spurs are probably the team I should have supported because that's like it's so parallel with Minnesota sports fandom. It's like actually kind of scary.
The Galaxy
they were starting to call Columbia
yet.
The Spurs.
They have 2 draws. What'd she say? Oh,
they were calling Columbia the Spurs of South America.
Oh like, no!
Dude, I gotta switch allegiance.
No, they have not. HD. The only one they have is in Champions League, where they actually were able to keep themselves in, which was needed. But they're missing so many players. Like it's crazy. Painstill finally came back, and they looked back to normal a little bit. Like, but I mean, all they had healthy was like Peck.
It's gonna be interesting to see this game tonight about like how much he's gonna rotate for that, game on the road to Mexico, right?
Yeah, they're going down to Tigres, which is going to be really hard to get
so it's going to be interesting to see if he rests at all, especially a player like Paintslow who's just coming back. I don't know. At least RSL doesn't provide too much of a I shouldn't say threat, but it doesn't won't.
No, Salt Lake. I mean, watching them live too, it's kind of a tough watch because you see like the freedom and autonomy that they give Luna now. Like they've definitely given him the keys to the kingdom now. Like it's his squad, but it's just there's no other like positive like key cogs that can really like take any pressure off of him. So I mean, like it's so easy to just like even have somebody just like tasked in the midfield to go man mark him directly, and then it's just like what do you do elsewhere? Like they don't have a central presence. That Gonsalves, that's their other designated player, has been like super disappointing and hasn't really provided much. And I mean,
Diego or what's
Diego Gonsalves. For me, it's just like it's such a bummer too because RSL. I mean, they were before they ended up transferring out Gomez last year. I mean, that team. That we watched them live. They played us early pre Gomez transfer with like Arango hitting and sticking and Gomez really good. That team was like my dark horse to win like MLS Cup at a certain point because they were playing so well.
They got rid of the Colombians. They got rid of the Colombians.
Oh,
and they started
what it is.
Shit. Like, what do you guys expect?
I should have known.
Another thing. Does Red Bulls have any Colombians right now? And are we shit? The answer is yes.
Does Minnesota United have any Colombians right now? Are you saying we're shocked?
Colombian baddie here in New York, that because since he left his family, I'm never gonna let anyone forget that.
Injury is never an excuse. Foley players should be trying to probably get paid enough for it. In most leagues, I would agree. In MLS, just with how top heavy a lot of the rosters are, you're talking. I mean, there's just most teams, unless you're like in kind of like your title winning window of roster build, kind of like what maybe like a Cincy would be right now.
I think something that really puts it into context too is that the MLS has a thing that they allow teams to call up players from their youth teams on like 3-day contracts fill in spots. So like those are the players that are filling up that, like there's like maybe 3 players on the bench that you'd play, and then everybody else is like they're probably not seeing the field.
No, I was pissed right there at West. He was really angry.
Was not having it. I think the problem is in top leagues like La Liga, EPL, Serie A, and the Bundesliga, teams know how to beat a highline press. Highline press was a thing in those leagues in like 2010. Seen it now. They know how. I think like I don't necessarily disagree with it. I think everybody's doing some form of press now. So like football's had to evolve to get to a point where it's like how do you beat that, especially with the teams that were like going so overblown with it. And now I think everybody kind of has their own style or like way of doing it. And I think building from the back was just something that inherently teams had to figure out, like even if you were shit at it. So I think that's fair.
I saw a tweet about the Spurs. They're talking about it in chat that they think this summer, new coach, new roster, they're going to rebuild again when we just did that 2 years ago. It's like we can never escape it.
Ooh, okay, Quasim. Was that Quasim?
Yeah, it is.
God damn. Okay.
Uh-oh. Brugman. See, we missed that. The link up play.
Is the Tottenham game at home tomorrow?
I don't know.
Oh!
Oh, that was sweet.
Let's go.
That was sweet.
Mukhtar gets one. All right, Nashville. Oh, wow.
He heard you were talking bad about him. You said he was
did.
off to a good start. Took it
The
personally.
Mukhtar salute is back.
I don't know if I like the salute. It's kind of like a stock emote. You didn't have to use any coins on, you know.
Bro was sloppy post FIFA goal. He literally just hit A on accident. And
Kasem, yeah. So, bro,
no, I mean that was all started by Kasem.
But look
that
at
was
this passing is great.
crazy.
Great team goal. Just get into a dangerous
Yeah, that's
spot
a good-
right there.
It's a bummer that honestly, if Kalina doesn't touch that, I don't know if
catch
that's a
that?
goal.
He was kind of off on his back foot, but let's see. One more
Yeah.
time. Yeah, maybe a little.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
That was
That thing
strange.
was so
the
loud.
first one over him.
Doumbia was on his back foot too. He couldn't head it away. I think if he didn't get a hand to it, Doumbia clears it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So water break here at 30. Mukhtar on the. So from what I've heard too, that Mukhtar's kind of had a slow start to things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for Nashville specifically, that's cool to see because
Yeah.
I think Nashville's success is fully still dictated on.
Yeah, dude.
Mukhtar still needs to give them. It doesn't have to be MVP, but it needs to be.
It's such a carry
like
job.
upper
He
echelon.
does so much for that team.
But I think bringing in that the Norwegian midfielder gives a little bit less of that stress off of Mukhtar.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's been able to occupy a little bit too of those spaces going forward and dictating the ball. And Mukhtar's a little bit more like the second, like the final pass, whereas the other, I forget what his name is again.
Who?
The Norwegian guy.
Salve.
Yeah.
Guys, I just want to
Yeah,
say
exactly.
too,
Tag set.
if you need water, it's a cooling break. You should drink some right now.
Run and grab one.
Dude, 84 degrees in Charlotte. That's fucking hot.
That's
How
way
humid
too
it is,
hot.
too.
Especially
Yeah,
like
right.
sitting in those blue seats and everything, it's baking in the sun. We say it like every game, but I'm
No,
glad we have
yeah.
a roof over our stadium.
No cover whatsoever, too, with like an overhang or anything. It just big tough.
Especially closer to the sun, heat rises all the way in the nosebleeds.
Yep.
Reminds me of going to Angels games in the summer with my dad and sitting in the no shade section. The only thing that saved me was when we cheered for the rally monkey.
God, the freaking rally
Cheer
monkey.
for the rally monkey. Now we're only down by 6.
Oh,
Let's go.
you guys winning that World Series that year. We played you in
that
the
was so
ALCS.
awesome.
That was the closest I've ever been to getting to see a team in a title game, and that damn fucking rally monkey.
That was so awesome.
Oh
If
my
you make
god!
noise, he will come, and then they put him on the screen, and it's like one of those little, I don't know. I don't even know what kind of
I
monkey
wanted to
it is.
punch that stupid monkey.
Dude, the rally monkey might be better than like
It's so
80% of MLS mascots. It goes maybe Sir Minty, Rally Monkey, everybody else.
The rally monkey's awesome, and then they do the song. If you make what is it? If you get loud, he will come, and then it's da 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 da. That one, that crazy song.
That was literally the year too that was the Moneyball year. So that was literally the year that the Twins knocked out the A's. So like it was one of those things where like the A's were like this like team of destiny, and the Twins like somehow knocked them out.
Mhm.
And then we're like, flying high. We're like, all right, we just beat this team that was like, the narrative was it's this small market team that's going to do it. And we finally beat a team like that, notably, and have the pitching to do it. And then we just could not beat the A's to save our lives. It just was so bad. I hated it so much.
Yeah, McCarthy, bro. The LA Galaxy goalkeeping situation is. I think McCarthy will find his confidence again. He was a good keeper for us last year. I'm not.
It just sucks when you're getting so many shots faced. And
Yeah.
it's just like I feel like especially like goalkeeping, like striking, you need to have confidence.
Mhm.
And the fact that Galaxy is just getting run over in the midfield, which means that they get so many shots on target, it's just like
Mm-hmm.
there's not much McCarthy could do there.
Well, no.
Well,
there is.
no,
There
there's
is.
a lot of mistakes that he's making, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think that has to do with the confidence, like you're saying, where it's just like where he starts to, develop and find form, and they're able to get some
pass.
wins and stuff
What
like
is
that.
There we
so
go.
like,
There's that overlap. That's what
Did I
Deani though.
mention how tall that guy is?
Yeah, it's gigantic.
He's so
Yeah.
tall. He doesn't look right.
Biz needs a hug, man, through back-to-back leads. Yeah, we got back on the board against Salt Lake, so I'm feeling a little better about it, even though it was in the rain. we're sitting in fourth and we're 2 points out of first, so it could be worse. It's a shame that we dropped. I mean, that's 4 points dropped though that we probably should have. So it's unfortunate.
Was it last year, Biz, when we were watching and talking about it? Was that Tanny's debut last year for Canada when he was playing well?
Yeah.
Cool.
Tanny hadn't even really played for us. Yeah. He had not even really played for us up until he had been on loan in the USL. He was a MLS draft pick as well, but he ended up, we loaned him out to San Antonio in his final season, and he ended up, I think he had like 20 something goals in the USL in like 30 games. Like he was like either Golden Boot or borderline Golden Boot winner in USL. And then, so brought him back, and I mean, we had heard nothing about him too, that he was like even going to contribute. And then, he comes on in the first like couple of games, scores like, I think he scored goals in the first like couple MLS appearances that he had, to the point that like we were still trying to kind of figure out what to do with Pookie, and then Pookie got benched, and it was just like Tanny took his spot and wouldn't give it back. It was kind of a crazy run of form.
I feel like he always sneaks in a goal ever since he's been called up for Canada too. Now he always gets like one goal, and like because they split time obviously with him because they have a Laren up top as well. But I think he always sneaks one in like if they play 2 or 3 games. It's just cool to see that has continued, and he's kind of like their do it all backup attacker now.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to see like just kind of the Minnesota. Some of the Minnesota players start to thrive for some of the international appearances and stuff too. I love stuff like that for our own club, and seeing players succeed. Dane taking over as the number 1 now over Maxime Crépeau, and Dane getting a true chance, because Dane is super streaky and he's the Canadian left-footed Matt Turner. Like his distribution is just brutal, but like just a really good shot stopper, and for the MLS game, I don't know if he's ever going to be a guy that chooses to go to Europe. I don't know if the European game necessarily like fits him, but I do think if he ever went to like a Scotland or something like that, he'd be fine.
Yeah.
To one of the top end clubs. Like he's such a big time shot stopper for like a team that might be, in like Champions League or Europa League games, maybe is like not favored and is just needs a guy that's standing on his head. He's that guy if he's confident. So it's I would love to see him get that chance, but it's cool to see him get it on the international stage too, and like actually kind of show that he's a pretty good goalie. He's done us a lot of good in his time with us.
Dude, I really do think we have to start bringing in one of the 3 like good crop of MLS keepers to like maybe supplant Turner, because Celentano's been really good this year. Chris Brady's been really
Turner's
good this year.
confidence is just absolutely nuked right now too.
Know,
it's so bad.
He needs to go play somewhere. Just go drop a level or 2 and just play.
I think he's definitely in the same boat, because look at what happened with Zach Steffen now too. Like Steffen is having such a good year with Colorado again. He had a good year last year. It's Turner, I think, has had his brain is just warped now, and I don't think Europe's ever going to work. So I think it's just come back here and figure it out. Feel like you're back at home, and like the level of play that he was at when he first went over to Europe was
so good.
It was night and day difference. I mean, like what I just saw with him, like allowing that goal against Panama, like Matt Turner was never out of position ever. When he was playing back in MLS, because his confidence was at just a sky high. Like, but now that like it's in his head about like this positioning stuff, and I'm sure like showing that he can't, do the distribution. He's hearing the writing on the wall with like what the supporters think of him and losing his spot, like all these different things. Like it's all just a confidence game, like you said earlier, Pixel, with that stuff.
Yeah.
It's when you lose that confidence, it's so much harder. You're putting so much more weight on your decision making, like all these different things. So I've seen it firsthand. I watched the guy. I mean, like what he did in MLS was honestly like, it was incredible. I mean, there's a reason he got to move over to Europe. It was deserved, but the guy can.
What you're saying with your confidence, like I think that's what makes Celentano even better. Where it's like there are things to his game that might leave a bit to be desired. Where potentially like we don't know what he'd be like if he left the MLS, but those are the people who have the mentality and have the form and have the confidence going in that they can be potentially a backup to the goalkeepers in the U.S. selection. And I think that's really what matters. I think that's something Pochettino and any future manager going forward should do, is have these MLS players who really want to wear the shirt and want to represent the United States, to have those guys, show the drive that's needed against the Europeans who are just getting the call-ups because they play for AC Milan or they play, in the French first division or whatever.
Yeah, and I don't even think Matt Turner was bad when he was playing for Arsenal or Palace. He just doesn't play. Like Arsenal, he was like only playing in their Europa League when he was there, and then for Palace he plays in the Cup, but he didn't play in either of the quarterfinals or semifinals of the cups that Palace was in, both FA and Carabao Cup. So it's just he doesn't play, and that's where you kind of lose his confidence. I don't think he's bad when he's actually playing. He just doesn't have the minutes this year, and he's not ever going to be a keeper that plays from the back, but he's a pretty good shot stopper, and he got better at Arsenal in terms of the ball at his feet. So I still think there's hope for him, and there's nothing wrong with coming back here and just finding playing time. No. And he doesn't necessarily even have to come back here. He could play the championship or something and just face a ton of shots. He just needs to face more shots. Like that's all.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like the thing about being a goalkeeper versus any other position is like it's all about the decisions you make every single time. If you make one bad decision as a center back, then they might have a goal. But if you make a really bad mistake as a goalkeeper, then the odds are that they get a goal. So the fact that he's not making those decisions, that he's not facing those shots, like you said, makes it so that he shouldn't really be playing or starting for a national team.
Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah, you're looking at it too with bringing up Tim Howard too. Like, yes, I mean, Tim Howard is, I mean, it's going to be pretty hard for anybody in U.S. men's national team history in my lifetime to ever have a more successful career than Tim Howard had. I mean, that's about as complete of a modern day keeper as you can find, and kind of a once in a lifetime type of player, and especially coming out of the States at the time that he did. And I think like the thing that you're seeing now with a lot of like the men's national team pool too is you had two guys in both Howard and Brad Guzan at the time where they were both really adequate for the European game in terms of like that distribution and kind of like evolving with the game, and were very capable with their feet. And now you have players that are probably fitting a little bit more of the mold of just genuine, classic goalkeeper and shot stoppers. And they don't fill that like sweeper keeper role where they know how to play with their feet and, really do that. And that's not something that's, I think necessarily even being de-emphasized in the game here. It's just kind of who's developed, and it's the players that have worked. And you look at the moves, and I think like, honestly, it's more players trying to go, catch the bag and, get infatuated with the big teams that are approaching them with like, Stefan with the City group at one point, being with NYCFC and moving over. And then you have with Turner, moving to Arsenal. It's if those players end up going to a place where there's less of a high leverage situation and they're more in a spot where their starting position is assured even with mistakes, I feel like their career arcs are much different, and that's more on the player and the agent to make a better decision on where they're actually going. But it's like, how can you pass up on when a team like that wants you based on what your advanced analytics looked like when you were in the MLS shot stopping and having these crazy saves and all these different things. But then it's, when it comes down to it, when the first thing goes wrong and you lose your position or you can't play out of the back, that was the biggest thing watching Matt Turner in Arsenal. I mean, with what Arsenal stylistically was asking him to do when I would tune in and watch those games, I'm like, Matt Turner can't do this. Like, he's never going to be able to do this. This was just bad scouting. This was just never going to work. So it's like, why is he there then? So it's more just on like a team kind of trying to jam a square peg in a round hole than I think it is on the actual acumen of the player itself too. So, but yeah.
Other than that one chance, game's been kind of dead. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like they've just been struggling to get into that final third. Both of the teams.
This is what happens whenever we select an interesting game.
They don't want to show out for us.
Not at all. But wasn't it Pep Biel who had like? I remember he had like a game or a man of the match performance. Didn't he get like 2 or 3 goals? Maybe like 3 weeks ago.
He does have 2 goals on the season. So if that's what you're referring to,
he probably got it in the same game. Yeah,
I can look at his match log really quick.
3 minutes at a time makes sense. Not too much has happened here.
Because I remember he really showed up. I forget who they played, but
yeah, goal and two assists against San Jose 2 games ago.
That's what it was. Yeah, was that the 4-1?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was where he really impressed me with that game. I don't know. I think I watched that game then.
Yeah, he's only logged 1 below 7 performance on FootMob this year.
And it's crazy because it's like you compare him to a player like Zaha, where it's like you'd really expect Zaha to be doing so much more than a guy like him.
What position do they have him listed as, Biz?
I mean, on the field with what I'm looking at right now, he's definitely playing like more of their right wing, but he's like their right center mid, like
Yeah, because it seems like
right
the
mid.
Bronco is kind of in front of him on that right side more.
Yeah, Brand Bronico is definitely more of like a box to box or like foot mobs all out of sorts with this game. I don't know what they're doing.
It's so bad at the MLS, I would say, with
Yeah,
the formations and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
especially the
never
MLS.
accurate. Ooh, Halifax 2-0 up 2 against Ottawa.
Who scored?
Giorgio Probo, who I'm not familiar with for Halifax, which is a Italian striker, and then Sean Ray, 22-year-old center midfielder from Canada.
Ooh,
that's 2-0. That's on the road in Ottawa as well.
That was a great chance. Bad shot though. Timmy needs to talk to his boy.
It's interesting what times they're doing the games are in Canada too.
Yeah, it's weighted out today too. There's games throughout the day today. So
this is the first match that you said?
That was the first official, like that was the debut match of CPL season.
I think those are free on Hulu too. Like on
It's that, and I think Fox has the rights, so it's on FS2 usually. But Ottawa just scored back too. No?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I didn't see who got it yet, but
that guy, Sean Ray.
Yeah, I recognized his face when I clicked on him.
Oh, Noah Botnay is on Atletico Ottawa now. He's not on York anymore.
I didn't know that. And then Cavalry Forge at 4:30, and then Pacific Valor at 7. So they're kind of staggered throughout the day today.
It's a good idea. I wonder if they'd try to do stuff for.
We probably will do a CPL watch along at some point. HD.
Yeah, we should.
We tout it as a North American broadcast. We'll definitely do one at some point that makes sense.
Samuel Salter. Oh my god. These names, dude. It's funny.
Yeah, it was really weird watching Cavalry play in Champions League and like recognizing like all of the players that were on the team for the most part.
All right.
I was bummed that Wojciechowski, that's like their best player. He's like now on the more recent update, but we started before that, the NACL. I wanted that dude on my team. I wouldn't have had to look for strikers nonstop.
It's just funny seeing like that players that we would get for the teams like from the MLS, like the Canadians actually on rosters now. Like Adam Perlman, the Toronto FC guy, is actually on Halifax now.
Yep.
Just like it just makes sense. Like they don't work out, never really getting caps for the main team, and go play in the CPL for a year or two, and maybe get transferred out. Because there have been some good like Bombito played in the CPL.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, those are the types of ones too. Like Max Anchor's a good one. Like Anchor, that you have in your Portuguese save. That's those are the types of players where it's like when they're in the youth academy or playing for like the twos. A lot of the times, like they'll go and try to get more consistent minutes or a little bit of a higher pedigree game and maybe get a little bit better of a payday in the CPL too. So it's like you're starting to see that too, and it's funny because of like who it's affecting. You're seeing it with some MLS teams landlocked here in the States, but it's more the teams that are being affected are the ones like it's like Vancouver scraps, Toronto scraps, or just players that like aren't getting paid to an adequate level.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
No, I'm trying to get I want to get Adenaja Reed. He popped up and I was like, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Timu Freddie Adu, bro.
Aren't they adding a new team to the CPL?
Quebec City is the rumor in the next year or so.
Cool.
So
that's going to be really interesting, especially because that's going to be like a team that represents Montreal area more so than Montreal have been
for real. I think that's that might be kind of the thought process. The other thing too, though, to watch is that Valor's like been in financial crisis for like the last like year and a half. So I don't know if that team's necessarily going to stick around. So I hope so. I haven't heard much on that, so I might just be like completely wrong, and maybe they've figured it out in the last like 6 months. But I know last year, like towards the tail end of the season, they were really struggling, and they needed like certain levels of like attendance to ensure that they'd be all right. And I don't know how that ended. I mean, they're still in the league obviously this year, so like I think they're okay. But yeah, that had been something I had been kind of paying attention to on the CPL subreddit that people were sharing. It was not a good situation. That's the closest team to me too. That's Winnipeg, so that's like right above. It's pretty much due north from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Valorous?
Yeah, Winnipeg's like where I went to college up in North Dakota. It's like an extra, I think it's like a 90-minute drive.
Oh, wow. So it's probably like what, like 2 hours from you?
From me in the States, or from me in Minnesota here,
Yeah.
it's way longer. It's like a 7 or 8 hour
Oh,
drive. But
oh shit. Okay.
yeah, I went to school way up north in North Dakota, so like that's
Just by
even
the border
further up.
then for you?
Yeah, so Grand Forks, where I went to school, was like pretty much on the border of Minnesota and North Dakota, and it's like way up in the northeastern part of Minnesota.
I
And
gotcha.
it's literally like Grand Forks had an East Grand Forks that was technically in Minnesota. Like it's really weird. So like you could drive across. I could go, like, whenever I went to go watch a movie in college, I'd watch it in Minnesota. But yeah, if you drive another 90 minutes on the highway north of Grand Forks, it'd be Winnipeg. So you're like at the border of Canada, way up there.
It's very cool. Because if it was only 2 hours, then that would be a really cool game to actually go see. But
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
8 hours makes it a whole different
Yeah,
story.
it would have to be a special trip.
It might also be 8 hours for me to go see Toronto. Maybe. It might be a little bit more.
Be a fun trip. I've actually, despite being as close as I was, I've never done Canada yet. So
I think it's actually really interesting where Montreal is actually like an hour or two closer than Toronto is, even though like geographically it's not, just because of the way the highways are.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I wish Montreal had a better product, because I feel like that would be such a good city to go see. They also have a really good F1 track that I'm a really big fan of, so it would be cool to do like a double header of F1 and Montreal. But obviously that team has not been worth spending any money on. So
everyone always says that the atmosphere in like Montreal itself, like the actual city, is like a super good time.
Yeah, exactly. And people talk really well about the metro and the mountain and all that stuff. So
I had a cousin that played hockey for Quebec way back, like in the USHL, so like the league below NHL, and he always said that he loved living in Quebec. He said it was just like such a fun place.
Yeah, I definitely want to make it out there. Probably F1 instead of the soccer, though.
Yeah, looking at the numbers here, though, switching back to the Charlotte-Nashville game. I mean, Charlotte registered one single shot at home with, what we had mentioned about how dominant they've been at home. I honestly, as the game progressed and got past about the 25th minute, because I thought Charlotte, was at least having some possession and like, kind of probing and trying to search for certain angles and spots to take some chances. But it really, I mean, the field tilted the wrong way after about the 25th minute. Nashville, I mean, really took hold of that first half. So, I mean, credit to the game plan there, because, I mean, they suffocated Zaha. He was not able to really get on the ball much. I felt like Charlotte, like any progressive passes that they attempted, were pretty much like instantly handed away to Nashville. So, yeah, Nashville looked good and honestly deserved to be up 1-0. You could even maybe make an argument that a second one should have been scored too. So,
are we allowed to switch our predictions at this point?
We're not.
But yeah, no, I agree. Like, what was it? XG like 0.04 or something like that for Charlotte?
0.02 for Charlotte. So literally just not even a shot on target. 0.91 for Nashville. So pretty much in line with where they were supposed to be there.
This is not how I thought the game would go in terms of like amount of shots and things like that. But again, looks like I might have to take more of a lead. Predictions.
What were the other games that we did, just to go over?
Yeah, so I should specify too, that was something I was going to make sure to bring up. We're actually going to change the format of how we're doing these picks. So we're going to do it where we're all picking different games to kind of spread out across the whole MLS slate, and some other North American games too will probably be sprinkled in. And then we're going to do the same thing for the community in the Discord, just picking some random games to just kind of, I think, make it a little bit more diverse on what we're doing, where it's not all the same games. But yeah, so other games, Galaxy wins for Dill and myself in the next one. Picks had Real Salt Lake with the win, and then all of us had Inter Miami after that. So,
man, I'm kind of worried for this weekend now.
A Charlotte win, though, I would expect Charlotte to come out and make some. I think Dean Smith will make a couple tactical tweaks here, and maybe even bring in a fresh face or two to try to get something going here. Because I mean, there was not enough going on there that first half at home. That's an embarrassing first half performance, honestly.
Random shout to take it away from the MLS, but with some MLS players. Betis and Barcelona playing right now, 1-1 tie. Gabby scored, and then Nathan scored for Betis. But Cucho out there, Johnny out there. Anthony, of
Our
course, the
boys.
GOAT.
Dill, it seems like we found our team in Spain.
Our La Liga team, of course. That's the
Dude, I
spot.
You
heard
guys got to
it's
watch the
so hot over there.
you got to watch the once in a lifetime I told you guys about on Copa 90. They literally have
I
a
have
Oh,
that
Real
against
saved.
Betis
Dill,
one.
yeah.
I have that saved.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Got Bellerin on the bench. He's back from his injury. He hasn't really
Yeah,
played much.
Bellerin gets hardcore interviewed in that Copa 90 as well. It's like a solid 10-minute interview about like what that area means to him because he's from that area.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one. That's probably my favorite one I've watched. I've watched like 3 of them now.
Which ones have you seen?
I've seen Trabzonspor, Betis, and what was the other one? No, what I didn't fully finish. I started Osasuna, but I have not finished it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, it's very
The
good.
German ones are pretty good too.
Yeah, I saw Frankfurt was on there. I haven't checked that one out yet.
Hamburg has one too.
Yeah, I want to get through all of them.
We were talking about picks when you were gone earlier. The those vlogs from that Houston Dynamo defender.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good, to be honest. I watched number one. It was really interesting to see his takes on everything.
Dude, and it's crazy. Like I keep thinking about like I wonder how much they have to like talk to the teams about how much they're able to release because like the dude is literally sharing his like the same footage that he's watching for the games.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like I don't know if I would show.
I feel like all the teams have that same. Like I think what's bad, you can't talk about a specific strategy or
that's
like,
true. Yeah.
We do this, we step up during this type of. You can't say that stuff, but.
Yeah. But no, I'm really into the idea of having that, especially when it comes to someone starting off their career, and especially like I don't know, in the early part of the video, he's talking about like he was even talking about like the January camp, and that's not something I've ever really had insight to when it comes to like fighting for your spot. And he was talking about like throughout the camp, what's accustomed is that you get rotated out, but then he actually got like to play the last game against DC United. So stuff like that and having those little tidbits is really cool. And that's something I also saw with the Onside documentary. But because this isn't as produced, I feel like you get more of a raw sort of insight into it.
I know, it's so casual the way he feels.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's really good content.
I'm hoping for some more action in the second half, but Nashville's got to stay ahead.
Let's hope not. For business sake.
I wonder if Charlotte will make any changes. Maybe bring in Abada at halftime.
Yeah, I think that's whatever attacking pieces they have on the bench. They got to jostle some stuff around and figure out how to get Zaha on the ball a little bit more.
My boy Vargas.
Not surprised. Highlighting the Colombian, huh?
That's why I'm here. It's actually funny because I flew too close to the sun where I was doing the sin of what you do at halftime at a soccer game where you either go to the bathroom, get a beer, or stretch your legs, and I did all three. And I missed a Kerwin Vargas bicycle kick while I was in the beer line.
Dude, that goal was awesome.
I was so mad. It was so cool. I saw the replay on the TV. I was like, damn. This beer tastes so bad in comparison to how sweet that goal would have been, even if it was against Red Bulls.
The worst is getting up during a baseball game and then the foul ball goes right to where you were sitting. You probably wouldn't have caught it, but you like to think you would have.
Yeah.
Steal it from a kid trying to get it. Oops, sorry.
I want it more than you do.
Yeah, I need it more than you. I need this.
It's like that one guy who has like the book about catching all those like baseballs.
So many too. It's so ridiculous.
He's actually kind of nice about it, where he like but still, I mean, I don't know. He catches it and then gives it to the kid.
I know,
but
he's just chasing that high.
Let them catch it, man. Give the kids the balls.
Do you ever go to Twins games, Biz?
Yeah, I have in the past couple of years. We're in a point right now where my love for Twins baseball has waned to an all-time low with the ownership situation. So, but yeah, I've been to plenty. We over the years used to play in the Metrodome way back in the day, so that was something that was pretty different. And now Target Field's, I mean, considered probably like a top 5-10 baseball park in the country with it being relatively new. So yeah, it's a good spot.
What makes it unique as someone who doesn't know?
It's down kind of like nestled in the middle of the city. There's a lot to do around it. It's literally connected with the walkway, connected directly to Target Center. So it's like where the Timberwolves play.
Oh, okay,
So
I get you.
it's pretty easy to get to. The giant concourse, it's actually open facing to the rest of the city too. So you get like this Minneapolis skyline in right
cool.
field. And then left field, it's kind of like where you can't really see outside from, like if you're at home plate, you can't really, it's just like upper decks in the left field. But yeah, it's a cool stadium.
And I feel like, especially with baseball stadiums, I feel like baseball stadiums might be the best stadiums in any sports because of there's so much you can do with them,
so
and
unique.
all the stadiums are
so
different.
Cool. They definitely are.
It is interesting though, as a sport, that it's like it allows you to make the stadium differently in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's
there's
kind
different
of like
rules
field
for every
size.
stadium and stuff like that. Like
it is
the
bizarre though.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They just build this huge ass wall in Boston, and then at Angel Stadium, right field, the wall could not be any shorter. It's like hip height.
Yeah, there's a couple that really emphasize that, and it's almost like with how it's built, because you can do, like, they've even moved them back, at certain points with remodels on seasons where some of them have like the seats can retract back where you like kind of change where the wall location is and stuff like that. So that's probably, it hasn't happened as much, I feel like, lately, because that's with some of the newer stadiums. I feel like they've kind of just like set it in stone a little bit more or worse. But I know like old Yankee Stadium, if I remember right, had like a pretty light, like I think it was right field, where that was like really advantageous to players.
And then there's the whole thing about like Denver too is a big one.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Colorado is just being that high up, the ball travels further too. That's like a known thing in like daily fantasy, where it's like if you're betting or trying to find players to hit home runs, like just if whoever's playing in Colorado, just
Colorado,
play those players.
They go yard. Pitchers just hate their ERA tanks there.
Yeah.
And there's one stadium where like people are like on boats or something waiting for foul balls and stuff like that. Do you know what stadium that is? Is that the Orioles?
That's
on
San
the boats.
Fran.
It's San Fran, okay. Giants.
Oh, you're right, Pix. You had inside information. Vargas.
What can I say?
Coming on.
If people were saying I'm always talking about the Colombians, there's a reason for it. Who's he coming in for?
I need to see. Zaha's still out there. Aguimin's still out there. I would assume the tall dude. He's only 6'3". I'm not saying that's like not that.
If it's
tall,
Vargas, it might be. It's either Ajaman or it would be maybe BL on the right.
Yeah. Let me see.
This hasn't popped up for me on SofaScore, so
Aguimin's still out there. It was the tall dude.
Yeah, okay.
He trolled me with this kickoff. There we go.
I guess they're going more attacking then.
Yeah, so they are. That is interesting. So they're doing like where BL's playing like more like a right wing, and then they kind of almost have like
pretty high up now.
So they're having like almost kind of like a right center mid, or like in possession, like it's like a guy's almost like playing out to like right mid. It's very weird. It's like they have like 3 levels of outside players.
Yeah,
and then like BL like kind of tucks in possession. I don't know. It's very strange.
It is weird.
Dean Smith masterclass.
Was the contract extension worth it? You think Charlotte gets back into this? They didn't show much in the first half.
I think we'll know probably in the first 5 to 10 minutes if they're going to turn her around here quick.
Oh, well, maybe here. Oh, nice feet from Agja, man.
Good sign that you're getting Zaha on the ball right away. That's a foul. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, take that. That was a dumb foul. It's always funny when they foul them, like when they have nowhere to go. It's just the classic.
Yep. Like when in trouble, fall down. You might get a foul call.
Vargas's hair is crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've always Kerwin Vargas. If there's one thing I know about the guy, it's that bro. Bro has the weirdest haircuts of all time.
Dude, contesting him for a header and you're just getting whipped in the eyes with his loose braids.
Dude, I saw that guy flying through the air. Well, I missed him fly through the air for the bicycle kick.
Yeah.
Wearing those exact braids.
That's football heritage right there. Charlotte's never seen a hairstyle like that. What does he got? What? Oh.
Oh God.
Really?
From that spot, I hate that. hate a lobbed ball from that point with like just no generated power off of a header. Just what a waste. You're sitting on 20 yards out. Like just freaking throw a shot.
You're not going to
that.
be in that spot again this game, most likely.
Yeah, track record says with what your first half looks like, that's your only shot on target. Your only shot on target that you're getting. Joe Willis definitely drives the game in a minivan. It's like
a keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. His trunk's just filled with all of his different gloves.
He reminds me of the guy. Did you ever see the movie Role Models?
Uh-huh.
The guy that's part of Sturdy Wings that like is like the really nerdy like vanilla white guy. It's like they're kind of like he's been there for years and years. Like, and Paul Rudd and Sean William Scott just like hate the guy, but he's like doing like the campfire stuff and stuff like that.
Yes.
I think he has the line where Keegan Michael Key sitting there and saying like, "We're gonna make s'mores with white chocolate," and the guy's like, "I don't know if I agree with that." That's literally Joe Willis, like just.
He's the
same vibes.
He's the cool young youth pastor grown up.
Yes, 100%. That man has used a guitar around a campfire, 100%.
Somehow he only ever plays Wonderwall. Oh, nice from Zaha. Needs another one though. I love the classic the wing back. You overlap, don't get the ball, and then you put your hands in the air all frustrated. What the hell?
The ultimate safe face move.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised cutting into the net that he didn't throw a yellow at that guy.
On Zaha or on?
No, on Quasim.
Oh, yeah. See, this is where you lob it.
Yeah.
Oh, am I? Let me see.
Oh, that's a good ball. Was he on? Ooh!
Wow. Oh, wow.
Okay, Kerwin.
Dang.
Let's go.
Aura.
Pixel call. Dropping the backflip out, too.
He's what we needed for Charlotte.
Oh, shit. I forgot about that. Boo.
I was going to say,
Boo.
Are we calling? I want to see if we're calling this offside because, I mean, he was so far past that defensive line. We're going to see. No, the back fullback kept him on. Or no, Surge kept him on.
I don't know. His braid seemed a little off.
I'm going to draw the lines for that.
MLS rulebook controversy. What happens when a player's braids go past the last line of defense?
That makes the game a lot more interesting now.
Oh, wait, what are we? Hold on. I got to see what we're talking about here.
Oh, they took it off.
Oh, no.
They're saying it was offside, which there's no way he was off.
Yeah, his arm.
Oh, no, he's saying that's what it is. It's Surge getting held by the number 13 on the backhand side is what they're calling.
Bruh.
Really?
My boy did a backflip for all that.
Which I think is pretty bullshit because Surge literally drops off the back end of it, which he's not even involved in the play. Honestly, that's a horseshit call.
What about now, HD? I think I'm louder. Oh, man.
I mean, that's pretty egregious. Surge literally didn't even make an effort to get into that play on the back end, and he drops off, and he's the only person that holds him on.
Yeah,
that's tough. And then you give Westwood a complaining yellow there for the tactical fall that he just put up.
There we go. Westwood's a little wind up, dude. This guy's on everybody.
I like Ashley Westwood. He was Burnley for years.
Really?
Burnley. Yep. Charlotte's had some interesting some players that were long-term Prem guys that were kind of with mid-table lower tier teams in the Prem. So Christian Fuchs with Leicester was one that was in the inaugural season. He's a coach on the bench now actually.
They've always said that about Burnley, the Charlotte of England. I remember that.
I have heard that as well. It's funny. It was self-identified by the Burnley supporters actually. They're like, have you ever been to North Carolina?
Wow, it's just like Burnley. I think he's offsides. Holy shit, that's crazy to push him like that too.
Yeah, can't do that to Timothy Chalamet's buddy.
You can't really get mad at Tim Ream either. He's like,
Tim's never gonna get to meet Tim and his posse. Now it's over.
oh,
Tim versus Tim.
I could see Chalamet playing Tim Ream in a Tim Ream biopic.
That's crazy.
Full of Dreams, the Tim Ream Fulham story.
Just terrible for his whole career up until like for some reason in his 30s.
The classic. I was down and out, and then I got a call at 32 to come to. Ooh. Come on,
It's
you.
going to be in the World Cup next year.
Pass it to Mukhtar. When in doubt, pass it to your 10. Don't carry the ball. Yeah. Oh, passed it.
That was well done by Doumbia.
I know. He had Surge for a second.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Oh. You also don't need to do that when you're that big.
He's really struggled this year. He's had a tough MLS
Slow start,
campaign
yeah.
So far. Yeah, it's been. I mean, the expectation I think for him was to kind of like be that 15 goal guy, and I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
It's the tricky thing with these guys that are so young. I don't like. It's such a high expectation.
I've never been a fan of Walker Zimmerman's little headband choice. Like, just go full headband. Like,
The thin.
I hate it. It's just like a piece of athletic tape. It looks like, like that athletic string you use for stuff.
It's like old Jason Kidd vibes.
Oh,
I'm actually a big fan of the small headband.
oh, it all makes sense now. I like the Memphis Depay, NBA headband in soccer. Yeah, with the Jordan logo. That's sick. Obviously, you're not gonna wear that here. Like you'll be fucking so sweaty.
That's
But
trouble. He's on.
To be fair,
Sam
he wears
was
that in
watching.
Brazil, which is pretty hot too.
yeah, but he's the hottest in the game, so it makes
That's
sense.
true. That's true. He's actually been insane.
He's so good in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Such
a random transfer too.
Yeah.
So
but
random.
It looked really
When
great.
that happened, I was legitimately so confused.
See offsides a little bit, Sorry guys about your prediction. That goal not going in. It sucks.
That's crazy. You probably paid them off. I got it right with the
Yeah.
with the Vargas coming in and doing something, but
Yeah. I hate when players celebrate too much, I like it really. I like the game being super vanilla and, just playing the right way.
That was your classic. I mean, we'll definitely have 3 or 4 more incredibly controversial, shitty MLS officiating calls this weekend. That was just number 1.
I have noticed in a couple of the watch parties, like the refs, like demeanor is like they seem like angry with the players a lot, as opposed to being like they should be the calm one.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, dude.
It's a
like,
no-nonsense group.
Yeah.
yeah. Usually, I don't really complain too much about the MLS officiating. Usually, it's pretty like decent. But
Yeah.
the last couple games for the Red Bulls haven't been that great.
Oh.
I feel like the VAR officiating has been really fucking terrible this year. I feel like, honestly, some of the games I've seen in person, I feel like we've had a couple, like the officials themselves, I feel like have been pretty good, actually. I feel like there's definitely, like the quality since I've started watching.
Ooh, that was sweet.
It's gotten much better. It's actually like kind of insane
Yeah.
how much better it's gotten. But I do feel like the VAR stuff has almost started to kind of like backtrack with some of the stuff that we're nitpicking stuff.
That was an
And
insane
especially as
flop
someone
by
who watches
Vargas.
The Premier League so often, like it's like the officiating there is like so bad. So it's like I usually don't have too much to complain about, but it's been pretty bad the last couple games that I've been watching.
It's when you're like kind of combing over, like that's a perfect example of that one that just happened with us with taking away that Vargas goal. It's like that's one where clearly on the first initial look, like you just were checking for onside. And it's like I mean, they didn't catch that actual.
Ooh.
Even if you can call it an infraction, didn't even catch it until
I know.
Third, fourth, fifth look, and it's like a lot of this stuff is if it's it's all meant to be clear and obvious, and that was another one too where it's like I mean that guy's not even involved in the play. You're like it's such a nitpicky ticky tack call where you're just like,
it's dumb. Wonder at what point we see another Charlotte sub, how early they go. I wouldn't be surprised if they get Augumeng off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know who their secondary
striker is. Yeah,
would be here. Look on the bench and kind of
loose ball.
Tavares probably. Yeah,
Sheesh.
Yuri Tavares would be kind of the choice. The other person that's there's two other people hurt too that are kind of notable.
And the Chimas.
Tyler Boyd is one for Nashville that had an ACL tear kind of middle of last year, and he was involved with the U.S. men's national team at certain points. So, I mean, he'll definitely be contributing when he's back. And then, Berchimas is the other one. He's had, like, a lot of more in the youth level. So he hasn't played much for Charlotte, but more in the, like, I think at the age of 17. Now, I think he went on trial, too, with, like, a bit. I think
he did. He did do it.
Or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember.
I think it might have been City or...
Yeah, it was one of the Manchester clubs. I think he spent the summer with them training a little bit.
Yeah.
He's been hyped as being one of the top end, like players that have come out of an academy here.
I mean, these teams, like, you could sell those youth players who don't really play for you much. Like, just look at Akanombi that went from DC United to Bournemouth. He barely played for DC and went for $1.5 million plus incentives later. So.
Yeah, DC United's an interesting one because they literally don't even have a second team anymore. Like Loudoun United used to be theirs, and so they're kind of like a unique standpoint where a lot of players are DC's like encouraging players to move over there so they can profit off of them because they don't like they kind of have like this academy without like a pathway on where to go after the fact. If they're not
playing for the first team
right away, it's like they have nowhere to go, so they lose a lot of players, which is like
that makes sense.
It's just another strike against like MLS academy growth right now, where DC's like even in worse shape than we are, which is like really saying something.
Yeah, and I like DC represents so much. Like they have so much area to cover too.
Yeah.
Like that central East Coast part, and DC were one of the best teams. Early on historically.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still considered one of the most successful MLS clubs of all time because they had such dominance early on. And I mean, like Christian Fletcher is another really good name that like people, if you played FM, you would know he's at Nottingham right now and like tearing it up for their youth team. Like, and that's like the thing where you're like, well, why is he playing? Like he transferred over there to play for, it's like, yes, he did to get an opportunity. Nottingham brought him in on, I think it's like a loan with an optional buy. It's like that was a more preferred option for DC than like,
that's what,
losing him for nothing. So
it's funny you say that because they did the same exact thing with Noel Buck, Nottingham. They did a loan to buy, but they declined to buy him, so he's back with New England. It's interesting that I really like that whole idea. You like just rent a guy for 6 months to get a full look, and then maybe you buy him. What the hell was that? That was such a flop.
It's honestly more of the pathway that I feel like Arsenal should have. That's exactly what I'm talking about with like even senior players with like a player that might be kind of a wonky scouting setup for you, but you like maybe like the advanced or like the underlying analytics on a player like a Matt Turner. Where it's like if Arsenal brings that, and a lot of it comes down to the senior team having to agree to, obviously.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Bringing a player like that on a loan where it's like a lot of these guys with the culture shock of a new league coming over and playing significant minutes and maybe dealing with not being the guy or having something go wrong, like in your confidence getting hit. It's like that's all the things that you can grade as a club without having to throw $20 million at a club for a guy that you're not 100% convinced on too.
Yeah, it's tough though sometimes because it's like I feel like with these ones they're letting the MLS players kind of go before they would actually be playing for the first team, so it's okay to let them loan and then possibly not be bought. You're just if you do bring them back, it's just more development. But you can't really do that with certain players who, get into the team earlier as a younger guy.
Yeah. And we even saw the same thing in the reverse way where, someone I've been talking about on the podcast in Marino Nistrosa, who was at Columbus Crew, got some minutes but couldn't really find his footing. But was on loan at Nacional, and then they sold him back to us. I'm pretty sure they still have some, like, if we sell him, they'll get like percent.
Oh wow! Okay.
So, and especially with how he's been performing the Libertadores, I think that's a good deal because I don't think he'd probably get very minutes at Cincy. At Columbus. But he's been blowing up for us, and returning home a lot of the times is something that's super super necessary for your development, just like we're saying with like those players leaving on loan. But if it doesn't work out, then they always have a team that they can rely back on.
Are you guys going to be watching more of the games today? You guys
I gotta
have any?
watch the if Nashville win, then I gotta watch the Galaxy RSL one just for the sake of my predictions.
What about you, Biz?
Yeah, I'll be watching most of the slate today. I would assume. I don't know. I might head over to my parents at some point. But me and my girlfriend had like our place is such a disaster right now. So we gotta clean it up a little bit. So
I feel that.
she's doing laundry right now, and then I'm gonna help with. Oh my god!
Did you see that?
Was that Reem?
That was like out of a cartoon, dude.
Yeah. That was that that video that always like pops up on Twitter of the lady doing the watermelon load where it like shoots back at her off the catapult. You ever seen that one? Where she's like doing like the long slingshot and it like goes forward and then comes back and hits her in the face. That's literally what that was.
But yeah, the Red Bulls also played tonight
Holy
against
shit.
Chicago. So
That physio is ripped, dude.
Well, what about you, Dill? What's the plans for today?
I'll probably watch the Galaxy game while I do a few other things. I've been enjoying playing MLB this show. Dude, we were playing the Swiss save on Wednesday, and I was saying, you ever feel so behind on sleep? And I've had 4 days to catch up, and I just haven't done it. So maybe a midday nap at some point today.
No, I hear you. I finally got some sleep last night. I've been like my CPAP and stuff with this sleep apnea. It got busted where I had to like order some new stuff, and it doesn't show up till Wednesday. So I've literally been trying to like the hose for it literally broke. So I've been sitting here just it goes to show how much it's actually helping me week to week. But yeah, it's just, oh my God, man. I literally feel like I get no sleep when I don't use it. It's crazy. And so my girlfriend helped me like tape it last night.
Oh,
so
okay.
I was able to, because it was way too noisy. Like when air is leaking out of it, it literally just sounds like you're in a wind tunnel. And so we ended up jury rigging it enough to get it to like be usable at least. So, and I just feel like it's like night and day difference. It feels so. Even just like, I was like, I just need like 5 hours worth of sleep. If I get that, I'll be able to function. And no, it ended up working out.
It is nice that Galaxy are kind of like early in the afternoon though today.
Yeah, it gives you something to do, right? Where
Yeah.
like you have time to go do whatever you want to.
I've said it before, and I still think that way. That's why I like the Premier League so much, at least for me, because it's hard for me to watch sports games at night because that's when I kind of like do stuff with my wife.
Me too.
And it's like, it's just so much easier like midday or early, and it's like you watch it, and it's nice because like soccer games are some of the shortest of like any sport game you can watch, which is nice, and it's just
pretty
all
casual
action.
watch too,
Yeah.
Yep.
No commercials.
Just kind of glance at it.
Yeah, it's perfect for me because it's just like 9 a.m. I'm able to get up an hour before, go get a bagel, get the coffee to make, and then I'm just watching it with my breakfast. Like I think it's so perfect. Even like when I go to my friends in New York, we just watch the Premier League all morning, afternoon with some bagels and coffee, and like then we have the entire rest of the day to go out, do anything like that. So I think it's really perfect that for me. Like if that was the case for the MLS, that would be awesome.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, for me and my brother, sports have always just kind of been like our thing that we always like kind of just map stuff around, like pretty much since we were really, really young. So whatever sport it is, it's like, I think the tricky thing with MLS, like we've said too before, is that it's not always necessarily in a bar. So like nowadays, which makes it a lot more tricky. Like in the past, like, even post when me and him went to not the most recent, but 2 games ago, he ended up coming over, and we have a like kind of a restaurant bar
great ball.
like, nearby. Ooh, almost. Ashman just blew that.
I love that pass from center back to midfield like that.
Yeah, it's so hard for the defense to deal with when you're splitting it like that.
I know. I'll let you get back to it in 1 second, Biz. But I remember when I was watching that Houston Dynamo defenders vlogs, he passes that ball a lot. That's a part of their game plan a lot. And he's nice with it. He's really good with that pass. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be so much more. It's funny because like I feel like the game is, with the modern game, it's adapted where center backs are really trying to be kind of the quarterbacks of the offense nowadays, almost to an extent with like table setting, and then I mean the strikers now also have to be proficient in like almost kind of being like kind of the spearhead of the defensive attacks and stuff like that too, of how you're pressing forward, how you're trying to table set for the rest of the defense behind you, like. there's so much of a difference nowadays with that stuff, which I think is really interesting.
Oh my God, that guy almost got kicked in the head so hard.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, look at, he didn't like it either. He just pushed. That was really close to his head. That high kick. He definitely took exception to it. Kind of saw it coming. He's also like not that tall, respectfully, but
It was like 3 high kicks in the Brighton.
I know it's Westwood again. The wind up Westwood. I like this guy.
Wind up Westwood.
Oh, dude, tell me that was not. That was so close. I also didn't realize until I watched it back, and I've seen, it's been a few weeks out, how bad that Mateta thing was on his ear got.
Oh, the ear, yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, I'd also say HD too. I mean, Dill's literally on the West Coast. Anytime a game starts like early,
always
your
about
guys'
6
time,
a.m.
it's like Dill. Anytime there'd be a 6:30 a.m. game my time, Dill's got to get up at like 4:30. So it's like,
yeah.
I might stay up late tonight to watch the Japan F1 race, but I don't know.
I mean, it's one and the same. It's just there's more top end leagues for like multiple sports over here.
Yeah.
It's
What
a thing.
what time does that F1 race start?
Dude, well, for me, maybe like 4 a.m., so I might get up early.
Oh fuck yeah! Because I woke up this morning and I was on YouTube just watching in bed, and it was like F1 qualifying highlights 25 minutes ago, and it's like 7 a.m. I was like, when did they do this?
It starts at my time at 1 a.m., so that's actually like a perfect going out race for you.
Oh, okay, maybe I'll do that.
It starts at like 10 p.m.
How long do they last? Like an hour and a half, you said?
Yeah, like an hour and a half. Yeah.
I do like F1 though, because I grew up watching a lot of NASCAR because my dad loved NASCAR, and I wouldn't really watch that much, and because I was a kid, and I would just like be playing with my little NASCARs, below the couch. But dude, it was only ever exciting like at the end because they're just going in a circle, and yeah, what is happening? I like this. Is this a derby or no?
I mean, both teams are still new that I don't know if there's considered to be any like actual rivalry. They're close enough where
maybe we could get one going. I like the bad blood here. We just need someone should have stomped Kasim respectfully, Oh, we kind of did, low key, but just to get, to start. This is, the origin story.
Who are the biggest rivals for Charlotte and Nashville? Is it Charlotte, Atlanta, probably?
Yeah, I know Charlotte said Atlanta. I think they've also mentioned, like Orlando.
Okay.
Charlotte FC rivalries. I'll look it up right now. I've heard Atlanta a little bit.
And it also depends on who you ask, too.
The I-85 Derby is the Atlanta United, what it's called.
We love the freeway derbies here in MLS.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Other ones that have been mentioned are Nashville being just geographically, DC United, and then Cincy.
Huh.
There's another one. I don't know why I thought I remembered Orlando with like some of the playoff stuff. I thought had kind of been Nashville. I'm not 100% sure. I really don't know for Nashville.
I'm
gonna use the restroom really quickly.
Cincinnati, Atlanta. Yeah, Cincinnati and Atlanta are the two listed.
Yeah, I think it's a tough spot for Nashville because they represent so much of an area,
Yeah. Yep.
Do you think Charlotte are going to get one back?
I mean, they've definitely looked better in the second half here. I think, I feel like they're kind of knocking on the door for one. Oh my God, is he okay? Jesus.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he is like knocked out cold. Good Lord.
Jesus.
Oh God, that is scary. That was a straight up Kerwin Vargas kick to the face. That's not what you like to see.
After I highlighted him and everything.
I mean, that was one though where it's like he didn't even see him on his back. You know what I mean? Like that's just a freak accident. Oh my God. I can't believe they showed that replay. That was terrible. Like straight up, I'm not kidding you guys if you're not watching it. Like one of those like scissor kicks where he threw his body into it and Zimmerman like stuck his face out like that and literally like foot to like nose. Like, oh my God. You could tell too he did like the fencing thing where his arms like went full concussion. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Did someone just get concussed right now?
Good thing,
I mean,
Dill missed
Zimmerman
it.
just got knocked out cold.
Oh, dude, I get up for
Bad.
2 seconds? I don't know if I should be.
Dill was asking for the beef, and he got
Yeah,
it.
okay, I feel bad. I feel bad now.
Yeah, like that was horrible.
Oh!
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, he's cooked. That was bad.
Yeah,
That's your
like,
boy
I'm
picks?
Actually worried.
I know. That's what I was telling Biz. I'm like, jeez,
That was really bad.
I mean, that definitely too. It was just a freak accident. That was not intentional by any means. It's just one of those things. Zimmerman stuck his head in there too, like one of those things where he was trying to get the ball. It's just, it's just one of those things playing when you're playing a game like this. It's hit his back to him. Like
he was going for the freak. He was going for the bicycle again.
Yeah. I mean, I get throwing a yellow at him, but I still feel like if you're actually watching that replay, it's like, I mean, Zimmerman does kind of like stick his head in there. I mean, like,
Ooh, Jesus Christ, he hit him so
You can
hard.
tell that like Vargas is obviously shook up by it too.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Have we seen Vargas's last bicycle attempt? Dude, he did like, yeah, that was pretty bad in terms of like, you can't be super mad at You can't really be that mad at Vargas for it because
No,
Zimmerman
really
did a
weird.
diving header at him.
Yeah,
It's a freak. That's just a freak play. Does
Ugh.
the Nashville end have headphones on? Yeah, I've always thought that's kind of what they've been going for with the logo. Welcome in, Jim,
Oh,
by the way.
I didn't even think about that.
I'm not a big fan of the Nashville.
What is Zaha eating? What the hell? What the hell is he eating? That's just a drink. He's using a spoon.
It looks like slush, like kind of like a slushy.
This man hates one thing, and it's ice. He just wants to-
I guarantee you, it's like some kind of like Powerade frozen or something.
Oh,
like that, or like
that would hit
that's
so
probably what it
hard,
is.
honestly. Right?
Yeah, on an
That sounds
80.
good.
Yeah, right now.
That's really good.
4 degrees.
Oh, they got Williamson, the former Portland guy.
Yeah.
Is that what you were talking about earlier, Biz? Or no? You were talking about no. You weren't talking about it because I know he's a bit of a MLS journeyman,
Yeah.
Williamson.
Yeah, he was with Portland for a long time.
I always see him pop up in Football Manager. I don't know why.
I'm legitimately shocked that they played a genuine replay of that even once. That is crazy.
No, it's not Ramadan.
The moment that he did that, like the first time, I'm like that was one of those like in the NFL when somebody gets absolutely like when Tua got annihilated a couple times.
That's exactly what I thought when I
Like,
saw his arms.
I mean, you saw his arms do like the fencing thing when you get concussed, like where it's like a defense mechanism when you go down when you're like full on concussion.
Yeah,
like,
it's
that-
like
that
when
is so
all your
scary.
weight's just dropping all at once.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah, you don't see those. You don't see those very often in soccer. It's
Is he
honestly
up?
like those scenarios. They haven't shown it. I can let me throw the volume on really quick.
I wonder if he's awake.
What's up, Zapolo?
I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick while.
Yeah, you got
Goodness.
You should have some time.
I think he's still in the same spot because it looks like the goalkeeper's just looking
Yeah,
right where he is.
Yeah, Willis looks pretty. So Williamson's coming on. Doomby is off.
Oh, that's so fucked. That's scary.
They're probably throwing. That probably means they're throwing Reem out to left back then. There's Christian Fuchs on the bench. Yeah,
Bronco kind of looks like Hoiberg. It's weird. Pierre-Emile Hoiberg. Like it was weird. From one angle, he looked just like him. Obviously with none of the tattoos, but
Williamson's
I want to grab that hair. I want to grab that one piece of hair.
That piece of linter is attached to it.
I was just
blowing
thinking
it
that,
out.
dude. It's so loose.
Yeah, it's like. No, it actually might be his hair.
He's got a full-on Lion King and Monopoly tattoo on his right arm. It was the monkey from Lion King holding Mufasa, and then the Monopoly guy under it. It's a crazy collab.
That is it's like a Mad Lib tattoo.
Mufasa pass go. Oh, fuck. Yeah, that was bad, dude. That was like UFC kick to the head.
I mean, yeah. My God. I don't know this striker that just came on for
Taklamati?
Yeah, I've heard that name, but I don't know if I've ever seen him play it. Also, Ottawa ended up 2-2 tying that.
Oh, really? Who scored for them?
Full time. Sissoko.
Oh,
Sissoko.
we know him.
And I don't know Rodriguez. David Rodriguez. He's an American. 22-year-old American. Let me pull that up quick.
Just Pep Beal scratching his ass so deep on live TV. Okay.
Played with Austin FC 2s and was with Atletico San Luis in Liga MX.
Do we get the I'm okay thumbs up as he's getting carted off? I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that. Yeah, I'm hoping you do. Dude was out.
Yeah,
that was
Insta.
Scary, man.
Be a lot of added time too. Oh, he's okay. He's got his hand. Oh, he got kicked in the mouth. It looks like his mouth's bleeding.
I mean, straight up like laces to nose and mouth. Like
Ooh.
I wouldn't be surprised if he lost like teeth. Like that was bad. Like that was really bad. Probably one of the worst ones I've ever seen. Like
that was terrible. Vargas will not be flipping if he scores after that.
Like out of respect.
Yeah,
it's like respectfully.
Jesus, that was fucked.
Oh, here's a Palacios. Picks know this guy.
You think he knows all of them? He does.
He does.
He does.
I don't even know. He could be like Ecuadorian.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me see. I'm gonna click on him.
He had his hands crossed, so it's not like he was just like,
Yeah.
That takes some cognitive ability.
No, he is Colombian. Jason Palacios. You know who that is, Pix?
I've heard the name before, but Palacios is a very common last name.
He just was into the team on a free transfer this past year. He played for America de Cali last year.
Oh, okay.
Center back. Came on for Zimmerman.
Yeah, Biz just assumed he was Colombian, dude. What's up with that?
Did he even play for Atletico Nacional? He's actually a youth academy for Nacional. Jason Palacios.
Well, look at me.
Never played for us, though. No appearances.
Assumptive, but was correct.
No, Palacios is a very, very Colombian name. If someone's last name is Palacios, then
that's what I'm saying.
A pretty good shot at it.
You have been saying that, huh, Biz?
I have been saying.
So I'll probably get like, what is that, like 5-6 minutes just from that thing?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we're over a 10-minute mark for extra time with like all the stuff that will boil over. I feel like you're gonna probably get something like that.
So in the end, he woke up and everything.
Yeah, I mean, from what we could tell,
his hands were crossed on the thing. It seemed like he.
Oh, no thumbs up for anything.
Seemed like
that's what I said.
You said that, Dill?
I was like, we need a thumbs up
were visibly
on the way out.
Too. So I think he's
okay.
All right.
Well, because the thumbs up is like the classic.
The universal. Yeah, the universal.
What if he went? What if he went out? We went out with a thumbs down. Yeah. Does that scare everybody?
That's what I would do if I just got kicked in the mouth and the nose. Guys, I am not good.
Gladiator style.
Yeah.
Thumbs down. Calling your own thumbs down would be insane. That's dark.
I'd always heard in like back in this is like completely random, but it made me think of it. Back in the days of like the gladiators, you know, like in the Gladiator movie when they're saying like let him live or let him die. They said realistically, like way back when, you know, like so letting him live, like in the Gladiator movie, it was like a thumbs up. They said it, like back in real life, it would have been like completely the other way because people wanted to watch people die. So like letting him live would have been. And everyone would have been like, "Oh."
It's like
I heard a historian say that. I'm like, that's actually pretty interesting and kind of funny.
I wonder if like a gladiator, you know, gets transferred to another like fighting arena, and it's just opposite there. So he sees the thumbs down or the thumbs up, and then still chops the guy's head off. What?
Yeah. Miscommunication on my end, there, boss. That's on me.
I also read that they don't, but for the most part, unless it was. You know, it was very dependent, but for the most part, they didn't want to kill the other guys because they were such like investments. You know, they train them like crazy, and
well, yeah, a lot of it was like money on the line too long term.
Yeah,
so it's like, you know, the more that they win, the more
exactly, Otto.
they're pulling in.
Yeah, I shouldn't say investments when they were slaves, but I said it, so it's out there. My bad. They're fighting for their freedom, okay? I still need to see Gladiator too.
I heard it's terrible.
Oh, okay.
That's why I haven't bothered to watch it. I've just heard so many bad reviews about it.
I've heard the story's the same, but the action's really good. So it's like
some of the continuity stuff. On top of it, too, Ridley Scott not actually like directing it. I feel like.
That was such a bait and switch, dude.
Yeah,
some really bullshit.
Is. Like, if you want me to go see that, it's like it's pretty much he just doesn't want to do anything anymore. Mm-hmm. Right? Like he's kind of at that point where he really doesn't. Oh, also, by the way, Dill, I've watched The Studio now. I've watched all 3 episodes.
Yeah,
it's honestly
banger.
Fantastic.
What was that? The Seth Rogen one?
Yeah. It's the Rogen one. It's gonna be like that is going to be the show for the next few years. Like it is so good.
Did I not tell you, dude?
Apple TV's putting out bangers.
They do. They is he not so? Did you see this? You saw everything. So the second episode, holy shit!
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
How long are the episodes?
Like 30 minutes.
Yeah, 40, yeah.
It's like watching a movie then.
It's all comedy stuff too. It's like it's almost
kind of like Penn.
What are they called? Okay.
I think well, no.
Should have went draw.
Let's not give it to Vargas, right? Put him in. Yeah, he's in the bad books.
Gonna take it?
Zaha.
Yeah.
He just drew it too.
Yeah.
Vargas. Let's see. Was there a need for it?
In the back. I feel like that's.
You know what I hate about that? It's like his teammate was right in front of him too.
Yeah, it was. You didn't need to do it.
He didn't need to do it.
Yeah, that was.
All right. Close. The goalkeeper that definitely owns a brewery will stop this.
Have you guys tried the new peanut butter IPA?
Oh, that sounds awful. Try this quadruple IPA. It's not that bad, I swear.
Brewed it in my basement.
It tastes like rocket fuel.
Peanut butter.
I honestly think he misses.
Oh my god! Of course.
I think he's gonna miss.
Let's go! Oh, come on, we're back. Let's go, Picks. We're so back.
That's bullshit.
We're gonna have at least another 20 minutes.
Nashville's morale dropped because you guys murdered one of the players. That's like not fair.
Kerwin Vargas is now on it for murder, not us.
Pix is guilty by association.
Listen, I'll take it as long as we get those 3 points.
That's crazy.
I'll take it. Jesus. He'll never walk again. My God.
No, I hope Walker Superman. It's all right. I hope he
sounds
gets
like
a thumbs up from the hospital bed.
God.
Dude, no one was more excited about the Charlotte scoring than Vargas was.
Oh, he missed him. Takladi or whatever had that so much space. I mean, that would have been a hard pass. Oh. One more?
Ooh. Oh my God. That was such a golden opportunity.
Here we go.
Just played it right back into feet.
What they needed was Zimmerman to hit a thumbs up, which he didn't, which is sad. But then Nashville go out and get a game winner, and then they cut that with the thumbs up right after.
Or Nashville get a penalty. Zimmerman comes on. They sub him back on and take it.
Just like the John Cena. He's like, it's Zimmerman!
Out of the Undertaker funeral.
He's in jean shorts like Cena.
He spits out his tooth that fell out. Are you not entertained?
No, Kerwin Vargas now is literally going to do if he scores, he's going to just do like a full on like trust fall reenactment of like Zimmerman going like.
That's insane. That's like I saw that in the UFC one time where a guy knocked a dude out and then flopped on the ground like he was knocked out.
It's crazier. He did that to his son.
What?
He knocked out his dad. All right. With 2 UFC fighters.
It was a father-son fight.
No. So it was 2 UFC fighters. The kid's son, the UFC fighter's son was talking shit to the other UFC fighter. Okay, so when the other guy knocked out his dad, he stared him in the eyes and then like flopped like a pit.
That's awesome.
And the kid was like 13 or like 12.
Oh shit! All right, maybe not awesome, but
What the hell?
I'm pretty sure it was Pereira versus Adesanya.
that fighter said anybody can get it.
For real. He said it in the video. He was like, I don't care that it was a kid. He was talking shit.
He chose the fight game. Ah, damn it, dude. No one picked draw though.
Crazy celebrations, though.
So
I know. I was gonna say.
wow. You'd rather all of us lose than watching me win?
Yeah, with the lead that you have, for sure. It'll be fine if Biz gets some points. He needs some. He's under me too.
Ooh. Oh no.
Nah, I'm actually kind of worried with the Galaxy game that you guys might take it.
That we won't take it?
That you will, because I went with RSL winning.
That's just spiteful from you.
Yeah. My boy Diego Luna.
Oh, Maritime Messi.
Yeah, late time Schaffelberg.
Oh, was the crash bad picks? The practice crash?
I didn't see the actual crash, but I saw the damage.
Zampolo said, how did they not die? So I would assume it's bad based off that.
Well, there's like a lot of safety measurements, and I didn't see the crash though, so I have no idea. But I know that he did the qualifying.
And he walked out of the car and did a thumbs up.
And he did the thumbs up, so yeah.
That always means they're okay. Been saying that.
Walker Zimmerman was driving the other car.
Walker Zimmerman's just getting ready to go to the Japan GP early.
MLS haters will say, how, as a defender, do you allow yourself to get knocked out like that?
Is it surprising to see Schaffelberg come out so late?
He hasn't honestly been playing that good this season.
Yeah, I was going to say his match ratings have been pretty... I haven't watched Nashville a ton, but it sounds like he's been kind of...
He also doesn't play it's been like 30 minutes at most. He hasn't started a game this year. Kasama's been the out-and-out starter. He's been one of their better players, though, to be fair, so I get it.
Yeah.
And then they have Mukhtar on the other side, so it's like you can't really displace Mukhtar for Schaffelberg.
And Mule. My big boy Mule.
They should get him in Dune 3. Cameo.
Yeah. Play one of the
Columbus Crew
sandworms.
colors out there.
Plays one of the sandworms. That's insane.
Sandworm voice actor.
Oh,
get in!
That had some crazy backspin. That's some bullshit.
Let's go!
Oh, he's put him on the bed?
That was a callback to Zimmerman. He put him to sleep. Oh my god.
That's disrespectful.
Oh my god.
That's disrespectful.
They're gonna find
egregious.
him. They're gonna find him.
That's egregious. You can't do
That through ball had crazy backspin on it.
You can't do that.
You
Talk
can't
about
see your parents in the
savage.
crowd that far away. Come on, dog. Who are you pointing to? Is he on sides? Oh yeah, for sure.
He is.
Yeah. Oh, what a ball. Look at that spin though. That was sweet. Nice finish. Composed.
Dude,
Damn.
You can tell.
Biel
That's
assist.
like when you're young and like you don't know when you're gonna play. He didn't have his celly like ready. He kind of like, what do I do?
He had no
right.
idea. He looked back at
He's
Zaha
like, oh, what do I
before
do?
doing it. He's like, tell me what to do.
He's like, don't do the go to sleep thing. Don't do the go to sleep thing.
Oh, that
He did it.
sucks.
He did the go to sleep
Fuck,
thing.
man.
That's crazy.
All right, you guys are gonna catch up to me for show.
Let's go.
Well, now I'm rooting
Just what I
for
needed.
RSL tonight.
Yeah, now the Galaxy, we're so back. I picked up a game this week. That's huge. It's huge. That's what it's all about.
11
added
minutes.
minutes.
All right, no, we're still here.
Maybe 10
We're still
plus.
alive.
We're still
alive.
We're still
And that was Beal too, right?
yeah, another assist.
Nice.
He's looking great. I mean, that was also a killer ball by him.
Yeah,
too.
It was so
fucking
nice.
nasty.
Ooh, no.
Ooh. Palacios throws the forearm.
This is what we were expecting more so.
That's
from
what I
this
thought
game.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It only took Zimmerman getting knocked out this game to wake up. I didn't mean it like that, but That's crazy. Yeah, it's a foul.
Yeah, I feel like BL wasn't playing in the middle of the field as much, and I feel like they kind of have had him free roam a little bit more, and
I think
he's definitely
he went more in the center once Vargas came on.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because Vargas is more of a winger,
and that's definitely changed. I mean, that's changed the outlook because I feel like he's had way more of a stamp on the game.
Yeah, he was kind of playing more of like a wide midfielder 8 role in the first half, and now he's kind of like a 10 here.
Yeah, yep.
Which I think is better for him.
I agree.
Yeah, that ball just split everybody through.
Yeah.
It's just that you just had.
Ooh, nice. Here we go.
He was off by a step. Yep.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yep.
Crazy to wait this long to put Abada. Oh, I mean, they're winning, but surprised. Beal's out, Abada in.
Fresh legs. I don't know what it. I guess just giving him some rest. It might have been off of it international. I guess too. Maybe he'd been kind of match fitness wise. Had been maybe a little out of it because I think he was one of them that traveled. Yes, let's see what Charlotte's upcoming schedule looked like.
Is he really on size? Oh, get in! Oh, God, almost another foot to the head. Holy shit. He was offsides, right? Scheffberg had to be offsides.
Had to have been, yeah.
I also, I get he's offsides, but for you to be in that much space with time, you got to put the ball right in front of Mukhtar. He put it behind him.
Yeah.
So here's what Charlotte's next 5 games after this Nashville result look like. They have Montreal on the road.
Okay.
They have San Diego at home, New England at home, Columbus on the road, and then they play Nashville again on the road. So I would
auto
that stretch. Actually, I would actually say that 3 points here is going to be pretty valuable because start to stack some stuff.
Are we all in spot? I guess it's for you, Biz. Are there going to be any Club World Cup games near you?
No. I think they're doing some in Chicago. So I think it's a little bit closer than what the World Cup would be, but yeah, Midwest always gets glazed over for that stuff. It's really annoying.
And they're also doing some weird stuff with the Club World Cup tickets and World Cup tickets.
Oh, it's also for Club World Cup tickets. They're doing that.
Well,
bullshittery.
They're doing some bundles. Yeah, they're doing some bundles where if you buy Club World Cup tickets, then you'll get guaranteed World Cup tickets.
Interesting.
If you read,
that's kind of crazy.
There's no guarantee of what game it'll be, where it'll be. So it's really pointless to get it because it's unless
head to Mexico.
It's pointless.
It actually might make sense. For someone like me who doesn't care, I just want to go to a World Cup game. It actually might make sense for me to do
that's
it,
true. But just
I wouldn't mind going to a Club World Cup game either.
I really want to go to a World Cup game at the Rose Bowl. I hope they play one at the Rose Bowl. That'd be so cool.
It's gonna be so freaking pricey though, man. It's gonna be insane. Just on resale, because if you don't hit the first lottery, the resale is going to be just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I really want to go to the Club World Cup. I could see PSG, Madrid, Atletico Madrid. Yeah. That'd be cool.
I'm probably going to go to the Palmeiras Porto game.
Something about Spurs taking L's. Shut up, Baron.
Dill's going through it right now, Baron.
Yeah, I'm not happy.
Spurs tomorrow.
All my happiness comes from sports results, and it's not going well.
It's understandable. If you're not living your life that way, what are you doing?
What other games do you have this weekend? You have Galaxy, Tottenham, anything else?
No. Angels baseball is more I take that in spurts of weeks. There's too many baseball games to be mad about one.
Yeah. I know it throws me when people are when there's 162 games total, you get that bent out of shape about one.
God, I cannot believe we lost number 94. Yeah.
I know,
bro, you got 70 left.
It's you really do have to take it series by series.
I know.
It's one thing if you maybe lose to
when you get sweeped. Be mad when you get sweeped in a series.
Swept. If you lose to a team a historically bad White Sox team last year, where it's that's pretty pretty bad when that team only managed. I don't even think they managed to win 50 games.
What
It's like when you're losing to teams like that.
What a strut by Bunbury. He looks like he's ready for action. That's a CPL vet
It's a
from our
Minnesota.
save. Yeah.
It's a Minnesota homegrown right there.
He's American and Canadian.
It's true.
There you go. He's in the action already.
I forget where he grew up here. I think it was like Bloomington or something.
Oh, wow. He got a lot of pace on that header. Who was the Baron or Otto? Oh, that was a nice. Damn.
Angry suburban dad, Joe Willis. Post goal.
Dang. Yeah, I've seen him blow up a few times. He's not usually an angry guy.
Oh, yeah, I forgot GW was the Rangers owner. Forgot about that. GW.
The Texas Rangers hats. Did you see those?
Yes.
I gotta get that hat. I'm full on Texas.
You already
Rangers.
have that hat. What are you talking about?
What was it?
So they were doing like they were doing MLS they were doing MLB, like the Brimcats,
Okay.
but it would spell out like the states. It's the Texas Rangers, but they use the Texas Rangers logo, which is a T. So it's us on the brim, and that's that means boobs in Spanish.
That's awesome.
That hat sold out within 5 minutes.
I do really like baseball. There's so much like it's so analytical.
Well, that's the thing for anybody that's like in our base communities with like FM. If you like playing FM, you honestly, if you took the time to actually try to learn baseball, you would love it. Like it's literally just stats. That's like all baseball is.
Yeah, and the best thing is like you could just like a lot of people don't comprehend that like baseball is a great sport to do something else and watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Like
perfect
most
background
people,
sport.
I would say aren't watching baseball unless you're a diehard fan.
Radio call for baseball is like the best.
Yeah.
Like
My neighbor
shot
used
when
to
you're, like, in
watch
the yard,
Dodger
like,
games
it's the
just straight up on the TV and do nothing else. It was psycho.
That's crazy to me.
I don't mind do it like every now and again, like based on the like importance of the game. I don't mind actually sitting and watching. Like, but no, it's a perfect game where it's like you can sit and have.
Oh,
a
you
conversation
mother!
with people.
Come on, bro.
Surge, like jumps.
But I was gonna say,
Sapolo hates stats. Okay, then it's not.
now that I've been playing MLB The Show, I'm like, and I kind of familiar with the players a little bit now on the Angels, like the whole team. I'm like, oh, maybe I could actually play out of the park baseball with them and really.
Out of the park's fun. Yeah. It's just like FM. It's like just play with the team you're familiar with, and then you'll be all right. The biggest thing too is it's very much like it is SAS, so it's like anything that you feel like you want to delegate, like because there's so much. Yeah. It's like you don't have to do the single A, double A, triple A management if you don't want to start. It's like you can really just manage kind of the main roster.
And the best thing about that game is that it actually comes out. So
Jesus.
they just released a new one. Maybe a month ago. So
good point.
I'm liking the show though. I feel like there is just a lot. You don't have to do everything as well, especially with all the AAA,
it's
AA.
the ideal where it's just like you're sitting on the couch and you're just like
it's a perfect relaxed game for sure. No, baseball's always been one of my favorite sports. It sucks right now that the Twins are just in such a spot that I just couldn't care less, and it's really made me actually I was in a fantasy baseball league that was weekly. It's like the perfect balance. I think daily fantasy baseball.
Yo, that is intense. That is intense.
That's like sicko mode. But for just weekly, you pretty much like change your lineups. You have enough where you have to do like a minimum innings threshold, and then it's like if you get an injury, you get an injury. It is what it is. So I played in a league like that for about 7-8 years, and I just finally decided to dip out of it. I just got too busy with stuff, but it really is. Baseball is such a fun game, and I feel like it's so poorly marketed, which is a shame because baseball's probably got some of the best like talents it's ever had in it right now too. So it's a really big bummer that like
it's the most such a international sport outside of soccer too. I would
agree. Basketball's starting to rival it a little bit.
Yeah,
I would agree.
It might also be one of the best where like where you're trying to find the lower leagues. Like lower league baseball is so good, and it's like the atmospheres of those, the dollar beer nights and stuff like that,
Yeah.
the dollar hot dogs. That's very comparable to when people talk about like lower league.
Oh,
Soccer.
closest thing that we have definitely is one, but that's always the argument, too, when we start getting into like all of the, the hierarchy of like promotion, relegation, or talking about like the longevity of the league, or why MLS is like feeling so corporate. It's the thing that I always kind of like allude to is the fact that look at how much, like how many rules have been implemented, all these different like infrastructure, all these different like systems and styles, and all these different things that like have grown with Major League Baseball over the years. Why is that? It's been around for over a century. It's like that's why it exists in the way it does. Like it's been around for 150 years. It's like there's a reason why there's all of these different processes, and like you have like a Rule 5 draft and all of these different like affiliated teams that are like connected to it. It's like there's a lot of different reasons why baseball works, and it's because of all of those things. And it's give soccer some time. Oh,
who's he flipping off? Who's he flipping off? All of Nashville, the entire state.
Yep, it wasn't about no. That was straight to Walker's there.
Oh, wow! You said he's a flopper.
You guys were asking if it was a rivalry. Now we know it's a rivalry.
Yeah, double middle fingers.
Feisty. I'm for it.
Oh man! All right, you guys catch up to me a little bit.
It's all right. The RSL one will be a little bit sweeter than this one.
Dude, don't say that.
Dill's mood is going to be in the ass.
That's a reverse jinx if I ever heard one. Jesus.
Directly affected.
I was going to block me before with the Tottenham game.
If you guys win that, Dill, what would 3 points do for you guys?
Not much. Let's take a look.
It would help close the gap to the middle of the table, though, wouldn't it? A little bit.
Let's see. Western Conference. We'd go.
You guys got to 6. Yeah.
We need more. Yeah. At most, we'd be 12.
It would still put you guys in like.
We'd be more in the mix.
Striking distance of It's exactly what we said. Where it's this is the point with Payne still coming back. If you're at 6 points through that portion, you have Houston next too. So it's like you're at a point where you've pulled 2 out of 3 games with a point. If you get 3 here and you have 5 in your last 4, it's like that's a whole different ball game then.
Well, I don't know. I've been watching the Houston Defenders vlogs. We might be cooked.
Might be over. Might be screwed. All right. Well, final thoughts on the game. 2-1. Charlotte takes the 3 points. Me and Pix gain a game on Dill.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that.
No less than we deserve.
Yeah, I mean that at the end, it's kind of more what I was expecting from the start. Slow start to the game. First half was pretty dead outside of that Mukhtar goal, which was pretty fortunate. Yep. Good build-up play from them, though. It's not like it just came out of nothing. But, yeah, disappointing second half for Nashville, obviously. I wonder how much of that injury affected them mentally, and obviously you're losing your captain in the defense.
It kind of crumbled after that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes things like that mentally can kind of weigh on you where it's so, and Zimmerman's such an important piece too.
Yeah.
You don't have MLS center backs at that level of quality all over the place. So bringing in a different player really can affect continuity and stuff like that. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Picks, thoughts? Yeah. Any closing thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think obviously it was really interesting to see when Dean Smith brought on Vargas. I know obviously he's the Clemens, so I keep harping on him, but I think that really did make a difference with BL playing a little bit more centrally, as we said. But yeah, no, I thought it was a pretty interesting game. I think the last half was so much better than the first half.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what we want to see. We were talking a little bit about the Crystal Palace Brighton game, and this kind of had a little bit similar vibes. A lot of questionable decisions with their tackling and stuff like that. But both sets of teams could be compared to as teams that are trying to make more of a rivalry, and I think that we saw that in this game, and I hope for more games like the last 45 tonight.
Yeah.
One last question. Pixel, how do you think Kerwin Vargas kicking Walker Zimmerman in the face will affect his legacy?
Whose legacy? Vargas?
Kerwin Vargas. Yes, Kerwin Vargas.
Well, clearly it's like 20 Flair because he tried to go for the free kick or the bicycle kick again. He knew that I was watching the game. He was like, Jeff, Pixel, I know you missed.
You went first name?
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Well, we're on a first name basis.
Wow.
He said, Pixel, I know you missed my beautiful bicycle kick against the Red Bulls. I've got to do it against Nashville, and I got to do it against Dill as well.
I didn't know you guys talked like
But
that. That's crazy.
Clearly he misinterpreted what the ball was and what a face was. So.
That's crazy.
Oh my god. Okay.
I would say Vargas should feel lucky that his foot was able to touch the face of U.S. men's national team pedigree like that.
Yeah. Royalty.
I'm disappointed though. It was a good game though overall. I'm glad it came to life in the second half. It always sucks when you do a watch party and the game's just dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've seen a lot of those in the past couple watch parties that we've done. So having it really kick off in the last 45 was something exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Much better than having a slow beginning and then a dull end, I would say.
Yeah. Do we know, as we wrap up here, do we know what the last watch party is going to be or the next watch party is going to be in 2 weeks? Do we have an idea of that?
I did throw it on the pod schedule. We actually, for whatever reason, when we were doing the initial scheduling, we had it listed incorrectly with like an international break, which is not the case. But the thing that's goofy, the following run is that we have only Saturday games, which is also there was no Sunday night soccer. I do not know
really.
Why. I looked. So I wrote down and jotted down a game for the master schedule. I had it, which this isn't set in stone, but I had it as Columbus Inter Miami since we kind of shifted off the Inter Miami game this go around. But that one was similar time. It'll be 1:30 p.m. PST on the 19th of April. So that that time can change, but that was the earliest game. I think one of the two earliest games. So
okay. And then our next pod will come out Friday. We're going to be recording it tomorrow.
We'll record tomorrow.
Yeah. So hopefully, we're on top of some things. Well, I can only keep up with you guys now because, Pix has Salt Lake. You have Galaxy with me, right, Biz? And then we all have Miami over Toronto.
Yep, correct. So Pix could actually theoretically pick up 2 games on you this week if Salt Lake does that. And then the community itself... Let me pull that really quick. And we are, like I said, we are going to change the format of this going forward where everybody's going to do different picks just so we have opportunity to go up and down the standings a little bit more frequently. But the community, I'm going to do a coin flip for 2 of the games because we had a Charlotte FC win and a draw in a tie. So we'll coin flip that. And then I had Salt Lake in a draw tie also in the community poll. So we'll do coin flips for both of those to determine what actually ends up happening on the 6 votes. And then Inter Miami was a definitive 6-0 vote win. So that was the decision there. But there was 3-3 on split votes for the other 2 were Salt Lake win and draw and Charlotte FC win and draw. So we will I'll do a coin flip to determine that and just post the results of that for the community. But yeah, that's where that sits.
All right, sweet. Well, other than that, any last words for the people before we wrap up?
I would just say, I'll step in really quick because I'll just say thank you guys for watching. I know right now, too, with games like this, I think most that are in here typically probably don't even have the full MLS season pass. So you're more just kind of shooting the shit and hanging out, which we really do appreciate. Like we said, I think we'll try to prioritize. This was kind of an impromptu, had to switch to make schedules work this week. So our process is going to be trying to always at least have those Apple TV Plus games as the games that we target. So just because Apple TV has those for free if you already subscribe to just the base Apple subscription. So that's a little bit more where I think people could choose to do that for a much cheaper option than doing the $20 a month or $100 for the year or whatever it ends up being. So we'll prioritize that, but we appreciate you guys hanging out. It's this channel's growing on all platforms. So it's cool to see. It's cool to see it consistently gain more growth and popularity.
Yeah, definitely. Picks?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything that you guys said. Just excited that people stopped in and cared to see what we have to say. So I appreciate everybody who stopped by, and I appreciate everybody who has supported both in the watch parties and also tuning into the podcast. So thank you again.
All right, guys. Well, other than that, I'm not really seeing anyone else in the American soccer space streaming watch parties or anything like that. So I will send us over to friend of the channel, Musterman FM, playing in AC Milan. So I'm sure you guys will enjoy that. But other than that, we will see you guys in the next pod on Friday. Another watch party in 2 weeks. Make sure to, like we mentioned, follow the Twitch, follow the YouTube if you're not already. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. yeah, on Friday. Good game overall. Hopefully the Galaxy win to save my sanity. And we'll see what happens with Tottenham tomorrow. I don't know. All right. Peace.